The scene begins with the Star Dragon taking a step forward and finally voicing what he calls a selfish plea. He wants rebirth. He wants to live another life from the beginning, and he doesn't even try to dress it up, admitting outright that he's shamelessly asking for such a favor. Murong Head by Aiden responds on the spot, his expression full of doubt as he questions whether something like reincarnation can even exist at all, and at the same time Murong is visibly stunned, turning toward the Star Dragon and pressing him hard. If the Star Ancestor truly had a way to do this, then why had it never been mentioned before? Unhurried, the Star Dragon explains that he was never trying to conceal anything. He says that to repay the Murong family he really did want to keep living, but the path to rebirth is so cruel and so difficult that it's nearly impossible to accomplish. And as he speaks, the hot dragon girl angles her eyes toward him, watching every word with clear attention. The Star Dragon continues, saying that the moment he saw both the Star Dragon and the Evelyn Dragon staying at Mr. Liu's side, he immediately understood something. Mr. Liu would definitely be able to make it work. And at that, the boy shoots the Star Dragon a sharp glare while thinking it through for himself. A method that lets dragonkind be reborn actually requires an Evelyn Dragon and a Star Dragon working in tandem. Now that his interest is fully hooked, the boy speaks up, saying his curiosity has been completely awakened, and he tells the Star Dragon to lay it all out in detail. So the Star Dragon starts with the Elemental Dragon's Dragon Domain, explaining that it's a domain expansion skill. Yet most people miss the most important point, because Dragon Domain isn't merely a technique at all. It's a genuine realm that truly exists, a space that belongs to the dragon race itself. Right then, a screen appears with clear, detailed information. Dragon Domain deploys a 100-meter diameter domain. Allied dragons and blood-related entities gain a 50% increase to all stats. Non-dragon enemies suffer a 50% decrease to all stats and cannot enter or leave the domain through movement, teleportation, or summoning. Building on that, the Star Dragon explains that this ability directly anchors the Dragon Domain to the real world. And then he brings up another power, saying that the Star Dragon's Star Shuttle can tear open the boundary of that connection. Another screen flashes into view. Star Shuttle rips space apart and forms a portal rift leading to a designated target location. The portal remains for 60 seconds and is completely unaffected by formations or forbidden spells. The Star Dragon goes on to say that by passing through this rift, one can step into the true Dragon Domain, and hearing that, someone cuts in, confused, asking if that means that by combining their powers they can enter a space that truly belongs to dragons, almost like an entirely different world. Only for that assumption to be immediately corrected, because Star Shuttle can travel only to a designated target location, so it isn't nearly that simple. The boy immediately raises another problem, pointing out that Xingqian has never once set foot in the true Dragon Domain. So how could she possibly open a rift to a place she's never even been to? The Star Dragon answers without dodging it. Right now, she can't. But once she reaches the Dragon King rank, Star Shuttle will evolve to the point where it can rip through any domain space at all, including the true Dragon Domain itself. Then he finally lays out the core of the plan. Inside the true Dragon Domain, as long as his life-condensed origin is handed over to her, to the mother of all dragonkind, she will be able to nurture him anew and grant him rebirth. The boy immediately asks whether she really is the mother of all dragonkind, and the Star Dragon simply nods and confirms it. Yes, she is the Life Dragon King, the root of all creation itself. The moment those words land, Chen Dragon reacts on the spot, repeating, Life Dragon King, and then breaking into laughter, clearly entertained by how interesting and amusing the situation has become. At the same time, the boy stands frozen in shock as his thoughts collide into sudden clarity. This means the blood-stained seed of the Flying Dragon Divine Tree has to be delivered to her. That's the key, and only then can she reclaim victory over the true Dragon Domain. Not long after, Bai steps forward with sincere urgency and speaks to Mr. Liu, begging on behalf of the Murong family that if he is willing to let the Star Ancestor be reborn, he will grant his agreement. Murong follows instantly, without a trace of hesitation, declaring that as long as the Star Ancestor remains, the Murong family remains as well. They swear to serve Brother Liu and the Yi family for generations, through fire and water, and ask him to accept their loyalty. The boy draws in a deep breath before he answers, explaining that it isn't that he refuses at all. He also wants to find the Life Dragon King. But Xingqian is only level 64, still far from the Dragon King rank, and with her current strength Star Shuttle simply isn't powerful enough to reach the Dragon Domain. The Star Ancestor responds in a calm voice and tells them not to worry, saying she can transfer what remains of her power into the young Star Dragon, and at the very least, that will directly push one of Xingqian's skills up to the Dragon King rank. The boy stares, stunned, and asks if something like that is truly possible, while Bai immediately voices the fear hanging over everyone. If the Star Ancestor gives up her remaining power, will she fall asleep again? The Star Ancestor answers plainly, yes, she will. Murong steps forward at once and declares that if that's the case, then the Murong family will continue to guard the Star Ancestor until Brother Liu returns from the Dragon Domain. The boy nods with firm resolve, and since Brother Murong has that much faith in him, he tells Xingqian to begin. Xingqian shoots into the air at once, wings spreading wide as she turns toward the star ancestor dragon, and in the next instant energy surges outward to flood the surroundings while a powerful dragon roar rolls through the air. The star ancestor immediately guides Xingqian, explaining that a star dragon's body is nothing more than a container for spatial power, and telling her to sense the galaxy contained within her own body, then accept the strength being given to her. In that instant, a screen pops up showing the Star Shuttle skill, describing how it tears space apart to form a portal rift to a target location, how the portal lasts 60 seconds, and how it remains unaffected by formations. Not long after, the Star Ancestor speaks again and announces that the young Star Dragon has now obtained a Star Shuttle capable of breaking through all domains. Vi rushes in, calling out to the Star Ancestor, but before she can even reach her, the Star Ancestor crumples to the ground, and blue energy spills from her body, spreading outward in a flawless circle as it slowly takes shape into a crystal ring. With a weak voice, the Star Dragon tells them to carry her essence and go find that mother, saying the Life Dragon King will surely be grateful. A new item appears right then. Star Dragon Essence. Legendary quality. Described as the essence of the Star Ancestor Dragon, retaining unconsciousness to differentiate and verify the core of a Star Dragon. The energy keeps compressing until it finally solidifies into a complete Star Essence. And through that essence, the Star Ancestor explains that she can still communicate with them this way, though she will soon sink into a deep slumber. Another system notification flashes to confirm the reward. Obtain Star Dragon Essence Core X1. With what little strength she has left, the Star Ancestor entrusts everything to them and urges the Dragon Tamer to go. The boy clenches his fist hard, determination etched across his face as he answers with confident certainty that there's no problem. And with that, Xiao Fei and Xingqian ready themselves to head toward the Dragon Domain, prompting an immediate quest notification. Quest name: Rebirth to the Star. Giant Dragon Quest description: the starry giant dragon bound to the western borders of the Murong family is nearing the end of its life, and as an offspring of the Life Dragon King, the root of all things, it wishes to return its essence to its mother for rebirth. After that, Xingqian stands planted in place, posture steady, confidence obvious, her appearance striking as she holds herself ready. The scene then cuts to the quiet courtyard of the Murong mansion, where Murong tells Brother Lu that the area has already been cleared and that no one will be affected by the skill. As Xiao Fei lifts into the sky, the boy nods and gives the signal to start, and she immediately shoots upward. While they rise, uneasy thoughts creep into the boy's mind as he recalls how the devouring Demon Dragon King once tried to devour the Life Dragon King, how no one knows exactly when she vanished, and how that uncertainty gnaws at him until he begins to suspect she may still be plotting something even now. Another system screen appears. The Dragon Domain is deployed, and within a 100-meter radius, allied dragons and blood-altered entities gain 50% to all stats, while non-dragon entities take a 50% reduction. Soon after, Xiao Fei steps into a land utterly blanketed in flames, and Murong stares around in stunned amazement, unable to hide how shaken he is, because this is the Dragon Domain, an ability so incredible it leaves him speechless. The boy doesn't waste a second, telling Xingqian to unleash her newly empowered Star Shuttle, and she answers immediately, fanning out the Star Dragon's 3 forms as brilliant starlight spills in every direction, echoing and resonating with the Star Ancestor. The system display flashes Star Shuttle again. Space is ripped apart. A portal rift forms toward a distant target location. The portal remains for 60 seconds, and it is completely unaffected by formations or forbidden spells. The boy glances back just long enough to tell his brother to move on and wait for good news, and Murong responds with open excitement, saying they'll be waiting for his triumphant return. Then, as they surge forward, the boy orders Xiao Fei and Xingqian stay tight behind him and follow closely. The scene shifts again into the true Dragon Domain, where Dragon Head Peak rises in front of them, the entire land swallowed by fire. The boy stares across the endless expanse in awe, realizing this is the true Dragon Domain, far beyond anything he pictured, so alien and immense that it feels like crossing into a completely different world. Now at Dragon Head Peak inside the Dragon Domain, the Star Essence speaks with steady calm, saying this is the world that truly belongs to dragons, that they're standing at Dragon Head Peak, and that Life Canyon, where Mother resides, is not far from here. The boy answers at once, saying if that's the case, there's no point stopping to camp midway, and he proposes they push straight through in a single continuous run. The Star Essence hesitates, then speaks again with a note of confusion, because something feels off. This place used to be crowded with dragons cutting through the skies, yet now there isn't even one to be seen, and in the Dragon Domain, even the weakest dragons are usually around level 150, with different regions each ruled by different Dragon Kings. She admits she's been gone far too long, and in her memory, there were once 11 Dragon Kings here, and no matter what happens, she warns him never to trespass into their forbidden zones. Hearing that, the boy repeats it to himself. 11 Dragon Kings, each above level 150, and the thought alone crushes down on him with its weight, to the point that for a brief moment he imagines what it would be like to tame them all, only to instantly shut the fantasy down, because even thinking it feels impossible. Just then, the Star Essence speaks again and announces that they've arrived. The scene cuts to the gate of Life Canyon within the Dragon Domain, and the Star Essence explains that beyond this gate is Mother herself. The boy studies the structure in silent admiration, because the stone gate is enormous and majestic, even more imposing than he expected. Yet when he and all his companions come to a firm stop before it, he spots the problem immediately. The gate is completely sealed, and he can't help wondering how he's supposed to enter it all. At that moment, the Star Essence Dragon suddenly blazes with light, her radiance spreading across the sky as she tells him to leave it to her. Her essence is the key, and once the gate senses her presence, it will open. But she also makes it clear that the instant this happens, she will no longer be able to communicate with him. A system notification flashes up, showing that the Star Dragon Essence Core has been used. The essence sinks down and finally touches the gate, and the Star Essence Dragon speaks for the last time, telling him that from this moment forward, he's on his own. The boy's heart tightens, because at last he's about to meet the Life Dragon King. The enormous stone doors begin to part, inch by inch, and as the boy and his companions hold their ground before the entrance, all three of them go rigid, staring straight ahead without moving. Disbelief crashes over him. How can this be? He looks deeper into Life Canyon within the Dragon Domain, and his face darkens, because the canyon is corroded and wrecked, and there isn't even the faintest trace of vitality left inside it. This is supposed to be Life Canyon, yet what lies before them has nothing to do with life at all. Around him, his comrades start speaking up at the same time, and the boy cuts through it by giving a quick order, telling everyone to follow him and move deeper in the canyon first. But as he advances, something erupts without warning. Purple energy bursts from nowhere and strikes straight at him, catching him completely off guard, and almost immediately a screen appears with information about a strange entity. Straight Dragon 3 form, switch Galaxy. Emerald Dragon 3 form, switch Eternal 1. The boy instantly understands what it is and shouts that it's an ambush, ordering everyone to get ready for battle, as Xingqian snaps in her dragon form, and Xiao Fei also shifts, swelling into a towering giant dragon, and together they turn to face the purple, liquid-like dragon shape ahead. Xiao Fei releases surging waves of green energy, scattering it across the area to push back the advancing purple flow, and another system screen appears to explain eternal protection. It generates a protective barrier that covers all targets beneath it, with the barrier's damage absorption determined by the Eternal One's HP and its self-regeneration ability. Then, still in her dragon form, she lifts her hand and unleashes a massive white light that floods the surroundings with blinding brightness, while heavy power ripples outward in every direction, and a new screen appears showing Starfall. Within the region covered by the galaxy, starlight continuously rains down from above. Other skills can still be used during Starfall, and its effects last indefinitely until the skill is cancelled. The boy locks a sharp, icy stare onto the purple fluid, and when it turns toward him, he roars out a command, telling the weaklings to be gone, as a screen pops up to explain the ability. Weaklings Be Gone releases Draconic Killing Intent, dealing defense-ignoring area damage that kills nearby enemies and knocks them back. With Starfall pouring down and spreading over the battlefield, the purple fluid starts to splinter and crumble under the impact, while Xiao Fei and Xiao Chun keep pouring out their energy, striking without pause and erasing huge swaths of the purple flow, and the boy stands firm at the front watching it all, thinking that maybe, finally, it's over. But then something immediately feels off, because the purple fluid doesn't truly vanish at all. It slumps onto the ground and writhes, twisting into shapes like reptilian creatures or animals, and the boy's expression shifts as a chilling realization hits him. It isn't dead yet. He forces himself to make sense of what he's seeing, mind flashing with the impossible question of how this could even happen, because the entity can't be appraised at all, and he can only wonder whether this corruption is tied to some ancient god, or whether these things aren't living creatures in the first place, until a system message appears to shut it down cold. Appraisal is restricted. At the same time, Xiao Chun is still in flight when another burst of purple energy suddenly lashes out and attacks again, and the boy finally grasps the truth in a single, grim instant. These things can't be killed, and dragging the fight out any longer isn't an option. Without warning, a huge wave of purple fluid slams down directly in front of him, and the boy shouts for everyone to dodge as the purple substance spreads at terrifying speed, swelling outward and grabbing at everything nearby, trying to drag them into its mass. He yells for everyone to stop wasting time fighting and push deeper into the canyon, and he and all his comrades immediately launch into the air. But as they fly, his thoughts only grow darker, because even the Life Dragon King's own domain has become like this, and he can't stop himself from wondering if the Life Dragon King is already dead. Some of his comrades shout something urgent, and the boy snaps back, quickly demanding that Xiao Fei tell him what's going on. Yet before he can get a clear answer, the purple liquid erupts again. He sees it now. The corrupted entities are clustering together, gathering into thicker masses as they surge forward and rapidly close the distance. And he shouts for everyone to speed up and shake them off while he and his comrades pour out their energy, trying to blast the purple fluid away from their bodies. He drives a powerful steel punch straight into the purple mass, thoughts racing as he notices they're getting faster. And with no other choice left, he activates another skill, switching his dragon taming aura into Dark Blade mode. A portion of the purple fluid finally peels away, and he and his companions keep flying as another system screen appears to confirm what he's done. Dragon Taming Aura. Shadow Dragon King form activates. The Shadow Dragon King bloodline awakens, granting a massive aura boost, 300% increased speed, and shadow stealth. Under the influence of the Dragon's Shadow Aura, Shadow Stealth lets them enter or exit stealth whenever they want, and their stealth won't be broken by detection or even by taking damage. As he flies, the boy tells himself this should finally be enough to shake off those unknown corruptions. But only moments later, while he and his comrades struggle to scrape and wipe the purple fluid from their bodies, his frustration boils over. Even at triple speed, the corrupted entities are still matching them. They can't be killed, and they can't be escaped easily either, and he grits his teeth, wondering if there's truly no way out at all. Then his eyes snap wide, because a vast wall of fire erupts directly in front of their path, abruptly sealing off their escape. The scene opens inside an enormous wall of raging fire, flames burning without end as they surge outward in every direction. And while the boy and his comrades force their way through that inferno, unease tightens in his chest because something is deeply wrong. This fire feels downright insane, far more outrageous than even Xiao Ye's cataclysm. Before he can fully piece that feeling together, a violent surge of liquid purple corruption suddenly punches through the flames and spreads straight into the fire itself. And the sight shocks him to the core, because this shouldn't be possible. A system message appears at once. Shadow Stealth has been deactivated. The boy reacts instantly by activating Steel Shield, and as he watches what happens next, his eyes widen with disbelief. The fire is actually suppressing the unknown corruption, forcing the purple substance to weaken and recoil under the pressure of the flames. Right then, a gigantic dragon with terrifying, oversized teeth speaks from within the blaze, stating flatly that corruption cannot be killed and can only be suppressed for a time. The boy snaps his gaze toward the source of the voice in shock, but the dragon continues without pause, questioning him. How does a mere human step into the dragon domain? And with two young dragons at his side, who exactly is he? A system screen immediately identifies the creature, Flame Colossus Dragon, a root-winged dragon. The boy holds his ground, gripping the star essence tightly in his hand as he introduces himself as a dragon tamer, explaining that he has two critical tasks that must be delivered to the Life Dragon King, and that one of those tasks concerns the life of a dragon living outside this domain. Another system screen appears, displaying the Star Dragon Essence Core, legendary quality, explaining that it is the remaining essence of the Star Sky Dragon, that it still contains its consciousness, and that it is used to differentiate and verify a dragon's core identity. The giant dragon reacts the instant it senses it, roaring in surprise as recognition flashes through its tone. This is true dragon origin energy from the Life Canyon, and it acknowledges that the boy really is a dragon tamer, though it admits it never believed such an offensive profession could still exist in the world beyond the dragon domain. The boy doesn't waste a breath on anything else, immediately demanding to know what happened here and where he can find the Life Dragon King. The fire-shrouded dragon answers with stern authority, ordering him to calm down because this place isn't safe, because corruption could strike again at any moment, and telling them to follow it first. The boy hesitates just long enough to weigh it, then chooses to trust the dragon, leading his comrades after the massive creature as it guides them across the burning landscape. When they finally reach a particular spot, the boy looks around in surprise and asks what this place is. The black dragon explains that this is a small secret realm constructed by Mother herself, a place known as the dream space of the Life Canyon. Then another dragon, still wreathed in fire, speaks with visible fury, declaring that Life Canyon has already been completely corrupted, that it's uninhabitable, and that this place is their last sanctuary. A voice follows, saying the area is filled with dragon remains, and demanding to know what in the world has happened to the dragon domain. Before anyone can take another step, a dragon entirely shrouded in raging flames strides forward and forcefully orders them to stop right there, and as it moves, the heat rolling off its body surges violently. A second voice cuts in just as sharply, also shouting for them to stop. But this time it comes from a white dragon whose fury is plain to see as it angrily accuses the fire dragon of bringing a dragon tamer before Mother, saying he's truly gone mad. And this one is identified as the Bronze Colossus Dragon, a root-winged dragon. Another dragon speaks next, its body still burning with fire, accusing them of betrayal. Allowing an outsider to learn of this place is a betrayal of Mother herself. A system screen appears, identifying yet another presence as the Cloudflow Dragon, also a root-winged dragon. The bronze dragon immediately declares that the outsider must be killed and that Mother must be defended to the death. And it's revealed that this dragon is a twin-headed dragon, another root-winged dragon. But the dragon, engulfed in flames, roars back in anger, insisting he isn't betraying her at all, explaining that this dragon tamer was entrusted by a dragon from outside the domain to find Mother, that he has earned that dragon's trust, and that he is an ally. The Cloud Flow dragon freezes in shock at that, blurting out the question, there's still a dragon outside the domain, and there are still brothers and sisters out there who remember them? At that moment, the boy steps forward, a softly glowing crystal in his hand, the star essence, and he explains that it belongs to a star dragon nearing the end of its lifespan, and that dragon believes the life dragon king surely has a way to grant it rebirth. A system screen appears again, displaying the star dragon essence core. The instant those words leave his mouth, an uncanny reaction ripples through the space itself as the rebirth of the dragon begins to resonate faintly, stunning everyone present, until someone speaks up to say that such a rebirth requires a seed of life to be accomplished, and the boy and all his comrades jolt at that revelation. Then an unknown presence finally reveals itself as layers of white roots unfurl outward, and a calm yet crushing voice speaks, saying it recognizes every one of its children, including the essence held in the dragon tamer's hand, and that from this moment onward, he is one of them. This presence is revealed as the Life Dragon King, the root of all things. A system notification appears, updating the quest. Quest name, Rebirth of the Star Giant Dragon. Objective update, delivers Star Dragon Essence Core 1 by 1 to the Life Dragon King, root of all things. Progress, 0. Reward, obtain Life Seed. At that very moment, Xingqian suddenly laughs, saying she has finally found her at last, and without a hint of hesitation, she rushes toward the Life Dragon King, while dense purple energy begins to circulate around her body. She declares that the Life Dragon King's power belongs to her, then bursts into laughter as she reminds them that she warned this would happen. Xingqian suddenly freezes, caught off guard, as the boy steps forward and firmly tells her he won't allow her to block his path. She shrieks back in fury, ordering him to move aside and warning that if he refuses, she'll devour him too. The boy answers with steady calm, asking whether she truly intends to break their contract, reminding her that as long as the contract remains, if he dies, then she dies right along with him. He tightens his grip on the flames, resolve unmistakable as he declares that the Life Dragon King is essential to all dragonkind, and that he will never permit her to be harmed. Then he challenges her head-on. If she wants mutual destruction, then come. She clicks her tongue in irritation, saying he's spoiling her fun, and with a mocking smile she calls him Little One, remarking that he's getting more and more cunning. The boy stays composed, neither lunging to attack nor speaking with aggression, and instead gives her credit, saying it's all thanks to her excellent teaching. She pauses, and at last she relents, saying she won't touch the Life Dragon King, but only for as long as the contract holds, and that once he uses his remaining 2 summons, he won't be able to restrain her anymore. He replies instantly that when that moment comes, he'll have enough power to stop her again. The scene then opens with the boy standing firmly where he is, while his 2 comrades remain close at his sides, one to his left and one to his right, his stance steady, yet carrying something subtly wrong. The fire dragon notices it right away and asks what's wrong with him. The boy gives a small shake of his head and answers honestly that it's nothing serious, that he's simply been exhausted lately and keeps getting lost in his thoughts. From behind them, the twin-headed dragon suddenly speaks, directing its question toward Mother as it asks why she is awake. The Cloud Flow dragon follows with concern, pointing out that her roots haven't absorbed nutrients for a very long time, and warning that if she doesn't rest soon, this secret realm will collapse completely. Mother answers with quiet calm that it doesn't matter right now, because what matters is that she wants to speak with her new companion, the Dragon Tamer, and then she gently asks him how the exiled dragon has lived its life all these years. The boy pauses, remembering what Muron once told him. The exiled dragon fled far into the outside world, forged a powerful family there, and that family endured for more than a century. He speaks in a softer voice, saying that even now, as that dragon approaches death, it still can't let go of the ones it cared for. At that, the bronze dragon, Jarlbai Singh, snorts with open disdain, calling it ridiculous as he claims humans only crave the power of dragons and never offer real respect, then angrily pointing at the hatchlings beside the dragon tamer and calling them living proof of enslavement. The mother dragon cuts him off with quiet calm and explains what she truly sees. Whenever the dragon tamer loses focus, the 2 young dragons at his sides immediately grow anxious and worried, and that kind of reaction can't be faked. It's genuine concern, so she believes what he said. Then she tells him she is willing to give him a seed of life, but that it will take time. The boy reacts instantly, anxiety playing as he says the star dragon has no time left and demands to know what exactly they're waiting for, pointing out that the unknown corrupting entities have already swallowed up the canyon outside. The mother dragon falls silent, offering no answer at first, so the fire dragon draws a deep breath and speaks in her place, saying that as the dragon tamer can already see for himself, Life Canyon has been corrupted beyond any hope of survival. Only then does the mother dragon speak again, telling him to witness it with his own eyes, and asking him to touch her branches. As her branches reach toward him, the boy feels a sudden shift and jolts in alarm as his awareness is pulled away. Inside his mind, he understands at once what's happening. These are the Life Dragon King's memories. He sees countless dragons soaring through the canyon, and then a violent eruption of purple fluid explodes into view. Dragons roar in agony as the corrosive substance spreads, its damage so overwhelming it tears through them. All the dragons begin releasing their energy in desperation, trying to fling the purple fluid off, while the mother dragon herself roars and unleashes her power, raising a colossal barrier to block it. Then a light blue energy surges into existence and slams straight into the purple corruption, the two forces colliding and grinding against each other in a brutal struggle. The mother dragon activates a green, lens-like glow, and the boy stares in shock as that power sharpens her vision. And then recognition strikes him like a blow. He knows it. He says it's mascara, and that the power pouring out of that rift is identical to the power of the ancient gods. The mother dragon turns her full attention onto him and asks in a quiet voice whether he recognizes this power, because they have awakened outside the dragon domain as well. The boy nods and confirms it's true. They're called the ancient gods, wielders of annihilation who want to erase all life from existence. The mother dragon speaks with calm weight, explaining that if not for the protection of the crystal dragon kings, they would have been wiped out long ago. The fire dragon continues in a steady, grim tone, explaining that this secret realm itself is a barrier formed from the body of a crystal dragon king, hiding them away and completely isolating them from the corrupted life canyon outside. The boy's thoughts turn heavy as the implication sinks in. The crystal dragon king, meaning the giant dragon he witnessed in the Life Dragon King's memories, must have sacrificed itself to save everyone, and it no longer exists. The fire dragon adds one more piece, voice firm but bleak. Mother has no combat strength left, but she can drive her roots deep into the earth and reshape the land, turning it into an environment where dragons can survive. That is why the survivors in this realm are still breathing at all, kept alive only through Mother's careful, limited infusions of her own life force. And for what the boy can tell, the situation outside the dragon domain is no better. The Cloud Flow Dragon speaks next, saying they've waited for rescue for a long, long time, yet the corruption has only continued to spread, and now it has begun to threaten this secret realm itself. The twin-headed dragon follows with a bitter edge, saying that every dragon who ever left this place to seek help died. Not one returned alive, and they were forced to retrieve every corpse nearby, because if they didn't, the corruption would possess the bodies. The boy finally speaks again, because he understands now. They no longer have the strength to escape. The bronze dragon confirms it bluntly. The exiled dragon has forgotten them. Only 4 root-bound guardians remain. Mother has nowhere left to draw energy from. Her life force is fading, and this realm is already teetering on the edge of collapse. The boy's face hardens as the truth comes into perfect focus. They are powerless against the ancient gods, and if he does nothing, the Life Dragon King will die here. A system notification appears at that moment. Dragon Nation Fire Seed Metal, Legendary Quality Accessory. Effect: increases all attributes of the wearer by 25%. And if that happens, the entire dragon domain will eventually be swallowed by the ancient gods. The boy looks at them and asks directly whether they truly recognize him as a companion. The Cloudflow Dragon answers yes, but asks why he's asking, and the boy doesn't hesitate for even a heartbeat. Then let me help you escape the corruption. The mother dragon studies him carefully and asks whether he truly means to take them away, warning that if the dragon domain falls, the ancient gods will eventually spread their corruption into the human world as well. The boy answers with calm certainty that even if they stay, they won't survive much longer anyway, and he asks whether that assessment is wrong, because this place will be consumed no matter what. But if they come with him, they will live. Then he clasps his hands together with firm resolve and continues, saying he has already slain an ancient god, and that his nation has formally recognized him as a conqueror of ancient gods. Another system screen appears, Godborn Dragon King Armor of the Fallen Mountain rank, and the Cloudflow Dragon senses the aura and reacts in shock. A Dragon King worn his armor. Yet the aura feels strange. The twin-headed dragon adds that it carries the scent of their dragon kind, but also the scent of corruption, a power that feels both familiar and unsettling at the same time. And the wyvern speaks, clearly, explaining that this armor is a dragon king fused with the essence of an ancient god, and that the ancient god he defeated now has its power wielded by him. He continues with confidence, saying that even if the dragon domain becomes completely corrupted, the instant an ancient god awakens he will hunt it down, and that he also has an island territory where they can recover and live in peace, a place that is absolutely safe. The mother dragon watches him in silence for a moment, then answers with a gentle warmth, saying that the way he considers others so carefully makes it no surprise the hatchlings at his side have grown to adore him so completely, and with that, The fire dragon finally speaks up with firm resolve, saying that if that's true, then he wants to ask Mother whether they should go with the dragon tamer. The scene opens inside the Life Canyon dreamscape, where the mother dragon speaks in an even, steady tone, admitting that letting go hurts. But Life Canyon has already been fully eroded. There's nothing left worth clinging to, and this is their last chance to survive, so they're placing all their hope in their companion. After that, our boy and Xiao-chan rise into the air together, and our boy gives a small nod as he says it's time to go deeper into the departure, prompting Xiao-chan to immediately cast a Starry Sky Warp. A screen flashes in a view showing Star Dragon 3 forms with star radiance, and in the next breath stars begin to tumble down from above, scattering starlight in every direction as the warp activates, forming an open space that becomes a partial rift leading straight to the target location. The portal rift is stated to last 60 seconds, and it's also influenced by magic circles, forbidden spells, and barriers. At the very same time, our boy releases his own energy and triggers a link, tying the target portal directly to his territory teleport. Because territory teleport lets a lord open or close a portal to their territory whenever they want, and more than one territory portal can exist at once. With the connection made, our boy immediately turns toward Shun and urgently tells everyone to hurry and follow him, because they only have 60 seconds left. The scene shifts to the Tianfu Island Shadow Fortress, where a table inside is already laid out under a wide spread of delicious food, and our boy's aunt busies herself arranging dish after dish as she says this should be enough, adding that it's all the food Xiaofan loves best, because she's going to wait right here for him to come back. Then she sits alone at the table surrounded by the dishes, quietly praying for our boy, until she suddenly stiffens, freezing in place as an odd sound reaches her ears. Outside, the mother dragon lets out a soft laugh and says the air here feels unbelievably fresh, just like their homeland before erosion claimed it, and she sincerely thanks her friend. Beside her, the Cloudflow dragon turns his gaze across the surroundings in open amazement and remarks on how beautiful everything is, while the fire dragon follows by admitting he'll need a bit of time to adjust to a place that actually is water. That's when our boy declares they've arrived, telling them plainly that this is his territory, and from now on, it will be their new home. As they draw nearer to the house, a voice suddenly calls out to our boy, and he stops dead, snapping his head around until his eyes meet his aunt's. He calls back to her, but she can only stare past him at the enormous figures standing behind him, and then she asks what those huge things are, joking that they better not all be his brand new pet dragons. The moment his aunt's joke leaves her mouth, the twin dragons bristle with instant anger, and one of them lashes back in a furious snap, calling her rude and openly offended, insulted that a mere human would dare label them pet dragons and look down on them that way. The other lets out a threatening growl and declares it will eat her, forcing our boy to surge forward at once and put himself in the way as he shouts for her to stop, because she's his aunt, his family, not some enemy to be attacked. His aunt stands there frozen for a heartbeat in sheer shock, then blurts out in disbelief that they can actually talk, and our boy immediately hisses for her to be quiet, warning her not to say anything reckless. He explains quickly that these aren't pet dragons at all, but terrifyingly powerful friends he rescued from somewhere else. And although she keeps staring at him, still stunned, she can only admit that the friends he brings back are getting more and more outrageous every time. Our boy lets out a soft laugh and tells her they really haven't had much contact with humans before, so she needs to brace herself mentally if she's going to get along with them. The bronze dragon speaks up then, sounding plainly relieved as he remarks that this place is overflowing with life, and that the energy here is so rich he can feel the exhaustion from his earlier battles finally draining away. The mother dragon gives a calm nod and says that once she draws enough energy from this land, she'll soon be able to nurture a seed of life and let that exalted dragon be reborn. And with that, she turns her gaze back to our boy and speaks bluntly, pointing out that he didn't bring them to a place this abundant and prosperous for no reason. So she asks him directly what he wants in return. Our boy answers without dodging it. He wants them to remain here and help guard his territory. The mother dragon considers it and nods, saying that's acceptable, that they will stay until she recovers her full strength, and until that day comes, they will protect this territory on his behalf. Our boy adds that he understands he probably can't keep them here forever. Legendary dragons aren't the sort to settle in one spot indefinitely, but if he gives his word, then maybe they'll rethink their wandering ways. Right then, a system notification flashes up, listing Bloodstained Flying Dragon Scare Tree Seed as a quest item and proof that the demon-devouring Dragon King has been slain, followed by another notification updating the quest as Seed of the Flying Dragon Scare Tree and tracking every Bloodstained Flying Dragon Scare Tree seed delivered to the Life Dragon. The mother dragon sucks in a sharp breath, stunned as she realizes he actually killed the demon-devouring Dragon King, and the bronze dragon shouts in exhilaration that our boy has completed the hidden quest she left behind, while the Cloudflow dragon backs it up, saying there's no doubt. This truly is the demon-devouring Dragon King's blood. Our boy cuts him before it can spiral further, explaining that after the War of the Three Dragons, the demon-devouring Dragon King was left gravely wounded, and when he found her in Dragonfall Valley, he seized the chance and finished her off. He adds that it was fortunate he acted when he did, because he could never allow the Life Dragon King to discover she was still alive. The Mother Dragon admits that she had already abandoned hope long ago, never once imagining there could be someone who would actually manage to kill her. Right after that, another system notification appears to confirm the quest progress, showing that the bloodstained flying dragon scare tree seed has been delivered to the Life Dragon King. The Mother Dragon turns back toward our boy, and when she speaks, her voice carries both relief and pride as she tells him he has avenged the children she lost so tragically on the flying dragon's scared tree. Not only did he save the exiled dragon, he also carried out her ancient vengeance, and with feats like that, there's no way he'd be asking for their help merely to make them stay here. So she presses him again, asking what he truly wants. The fire dragon steps forward as well, and adds that as long as it's something they can give or something they can do, they'll help him without hesitation. The bronze dragon nods in agreement, saying he understands now. Our boy has torn the throne of grief and despair out of Mother's heart, so they owe him, and he has earned that repayment, and all they want is for him to remain here in his territory. Then the Mother Dragon looks at our boy with a blend of amusement and admiration, laughing as she calls him a fascinating, clever human. Our boy simply smiles and explains that as a dragon tamer, his purpose is to become friends with dragons. Humans might hunger for a dragon's power, but there are paths to that power other than subjugation or stealing it, because if they become companions, that bond lets him borrow their strength when the moment calls for it. The Mother Dragon is clearly moved, and she admits that after everything he's done for them, they truly have no reason left to refuse him. A system screen pops up, confirming that the seed of the Flying Dragon Scared Tree quest has been completed, and then another screen shows the Life Dragon King along with a ruthless guardian dragon settling into the territory, followed by a third announcement stating that the Life Dragon King is taking root, burrowing deep into the earth to anchor herself. During this period, she will enter slumber, she won't be able to move, and she will automatically shift into an absorption state. The Mother Dragon says that for now, they should simply get along happily, and a system notification confirms that the taking root absorption state has been activated. Our boy thinks to himself, impressed that he managed to secure the Life Dragon King and 4 enormous dragons without using any contracts at all, and he reflects that the hidden quest Xiao Fei picked up back then ended up letting him gain 5 powerful dragons in one sweep. He looks around, startled to realize he's already healed, and the Cloudflow Dragon explains that while Mother is taking root, she will sleep while continuously absorbing energy and releasing a life aura at the same time, and that aura can heal, and can even grant experience points. Our boy is stunned and asks if he heard that correctly, because does that mean they can level up just by staying close to the Life Dragon King? The Bronze Dragon gives a confirming nod and says yes, that's right, though Mother's life force is still weak at the moment, so in about a month they can probably only gain 7 or 8 levels at most. Our boy breaks into a grin, genuinely amazed, because this is basically leveling up while lying down, and in his mind he can already see it. Everyone kicking back, soaking in the hot springs, taking in the sea view, while the dragons handle the territory like it's nothing, the kind of luxury countless people could only fantasize about. The twin dragons add that even if this pace might feel a little slow for class changers, it'll be much quicker for the ferocious beasts on the island, since those monsters are already around level 90, and Mother will soon be able to push them up to level 100. Our boy's eyes go wide at that, and he blurts out in disbelief, asking if even the beasts can level up too, and the dragons just laugh. One of them even tosses out a teasing joke to provoke him, and our boy shoots back a sharp glare. Then the fire dragon announces he's realized the water here isn't ordinary at all, and that it can actually boost several of his stats, prompting our boy to yell at him to get out of the water, joking that he'd been the one claiming he couldn't stand water, yet he nearly boiled the hot spring dry. The fire dragon grins right back and calls him stingy, reminding him that he'd just been talking about friends and companions. Meanwhile, our boy's gaze shifts to the Mother Dragon, who is spreading her green energy throughout the territory, and it clicks for him that what she's releasing is the Seed of Life that will save the Star Dragon. A system screen appears at once. Seed of Life, Phase 1, Legendary, Consumable. Our boy launches up into the sky, thinking that the Life Dragon King needs time to absorb enough energy before the seed can truly finish forming. But then, without warning, a surge of green energy erupts above his head, and the Bronze Dragon speaks up, saying that Mother trusts him, and they do too. Yet when it comes to the Seed of Life, they have to set down some rules on her behalf before anything goes further. The scene opens on Tianfu Island, with our boy standing there and talking about establishing rules, trying to get everything sorted out, while on the other side the Cloudflow Dragon begins laying out what really matters. The Seed of Life is created from Mother's own flesh and blood, and only one seed can be produced each year, and when it first comes into existence it enters the first stage, and in that stage it carries the power of rebirth, essentially granting someone a second life. The moment he hears that, our boy immediately asks whether that means there's a second stage as well, and the Fire Dragon nods as he explains that yes, there is, because as the Seed of Life continues to grow it advances into the second stage, and once it reaches that point it gains the ability to nurture new brothers and sisters, who will eventually hatch into life. Our boy looks openly shaken by that, and asks if that means every one of them was born from the same seed. And the Cloud Flow Dragon confirms it, explaining that before the Dragon Realm was corrupted, their mother had 237 children, but now only the 4 of them remain. The corruption prevented Mother from absorbing energy, and because of that, no new dragons could be born. Hearing all of this, our boy starts piecing it together in his head. So the Seed of Life is basically the Dragon King of Life's dragon egg. He never would have guessed that his own territory could produce a dragon egg every single year. And the moment that sinks in, his mind races. If he simply lets it grow with time, wouldn't he be able to cultivate an entire legion of dragons? A thought so absurd it feels almost unreal to him. But before that idea can go any further, the bronze dragon suddenly shouts that they won't outright forbid him from harvesting the seed, yet at least 1 year, or even 10 years, must be left untouched so that new rootless dragons can be born. And our boy immediately reassures them he understands, telling them not to worry because he also wants the dragon race to prosper, and unless it becomes absolutely necessary, he won't harvest the seeds. The bronze dragon perks up, clearly pleased, and says good, then tells him he can take this particular seed to feed the exiled dragon who has been waiting, and our boy wastes no time, grabbing the seed at once. Right after that, a screen flashes in front of him confirming he has obtained the Seed of Life, first stage, followed by another screen displaying his current progress and listing the Seed of Life he's obtained one by one. And seeing that, our boy thinks the Star Dragon's quest can finally be completed now. The Fire Dragon immediately urges him to hurry, explaining that their mother's life force is extremely weak and the seeds will wither in less than 3 days. And in the midst of that, someone remarks that the spring water is incredible and tells everyone to try some, making our boy react on instinct as he demands to know why they're drinking it again, snapping that they should go drink seawater instead and stop running the hot spring dry. At that moment, someone from the previous loft looks stunned and asks who that person is, and another voice answers by calling out to Lu Fan, demanding to know if he still remembers them. They accuse him of stealing Sakura Nation's dragon, and even killing their Yamada no Orochi, and they warn him he shouldn't have thought they would fail to find him, even if it meant chasing him all the way to the ends of the earth. Then, without warning, a black beast with glowing red eyes emerges, stepping forward as it fixes its stares squarely on our boy, and our boy is plainly caught off guard. But instead of retreating, he narrows his eyes and glares straight back at the red-eyed creature, and in an instant the air turns thick with pressure. Immediately after, the black beast's identity is revealed. YNMZI, level 191, a 119 on Myoji. The red-eyed beast speaks with smug confidence, declaring that now, with his master and the 4 major clan leaders supporting him, our boy is basically finished. He sneers at him, asking what's wrong and whether he's scared, then goes even further and mocks him for being so terrified he can't even answer. Our boy draws a slow, steady breath and responds with calm contempt, saying Yin's skill is honestly garbage, because all he can do is project his voice. He can't even see him. Only for Ian to reply coldly that sending his voice is already more than enough, since he doesn't even want to look at that disgusting face anyway. Our boy suddenly raises his voice and rockets straight up into the sky, calling him out loud and clear, asking if he's here for revenge, and if not, then to stop wasting his time. Wyon's red eyes flare even brighter as he breaks into laughter, saying our boy is still just as arrogant as ever. But fine, he'll speak plainly. Our boy killed his Shikigami and stole the dragon, so his master, In Tianzi, will personally lead the 4 major clan leaders to demand an explanation, and in 3 days they'll arrive at his current location. If he has the guts, he can try running, but wherever he goes, they'll hunt him down and find him. Our boy doesn't so much as blink, only staring back and casually asking if that's all, reminding Ian that last time he survived solely because he ran fast enough, and warning that this time, whether it's his master or any so-called big shot, he'd better bring them all. The beast answers that Yin's master and the 4 clan leaders have already reached the 5th turn, and if our boy wants to stay alive, then he should hand over his dragon pet right now. The instant he hears that, our boy gathers his power and lunges in, trying to drive a punch into the beast, but the beast's voice rings out again, cool and taunting, reminding him that he has only 3 days to think through how he plans to face them, and our boy merely replies that he'll be waiting. The scene cuts to the Sakura Nation, inside Tianfu Palace, where the slave is shouting in furious rage, livid over how everything has gone since returning to Sakura Nation, screaming that Luo Fan dared to interrupt his ultimatum, and swearing he wants him dead, so dead there won't even be a corpse left behind. While he's still throwing his tantrum, another voice slices through it, sharp and cold, calling him a disgraceful fool and ordering him that it's enough. And the moment his master steps out, the slave collapses to his knees at once, bowing low and crying out to his master. His master stands there with purple energy coiling around his body, and with calm arrogance he remarks that young people who gain power beyond their limits tend to grow arrogant, that he's seen countless examples, and that once 5th-turn professionals are standing in front of someone like Luo Fan, that person will naturally learn humility. A screen appears, displaying In Tianzi, level 130, lord of Tianfu Palace. The slave crawls along the floor and agrees eagerly, claiming that once the master arrives together with the 4 fifth-turn clan leaders, all the dragon pets will belong to him. But the lord of Sakura Nation answers coolly that when the time comes, he'd better watch his manners in front of the clan leaders and not bring him shame. And as they move out of the hall, Ian explains that bringing the 4 noble clan leaders is mainly meant to probe the situation in Taichi Nation. Because if the 10 clans supporting Taichi Nation don't respond, they'll erase Taichi Nation in a single strike. And as for avenging the slave, that's merely something they'll deal with along the way. What everyone actually cares about, he makes clear, is how the dragon pets will be divided afterward, because the slave himself isn't worth much at all, and the one truly capable of commanding Tianfu Palace along with the 4 noble clan leaders is him. The slave hurriedly nods, saying he understands, and the master follows by stressing that this entire trip is a covert operation, so secret that even the king knows nothing about it, then orders the slave to keep his mouth shut, prompting the slave to bow flat to the floor at once, repeating yes again and again. Once the master is gone, the slave starts laughing to himself, thinking privately that his master's real power is even greater than the king's, and at this time they won't merely kill Luo Fan and seize the dragon pets, but will also crush Taichi Nation and expand their territory. So in his mind, everything is lining up perfectly. The scene cuts back to our boy and the dragons, and one of the twin dragons remarks offhandedly that Ian sounds like an idiot and suggests they should just kill him, while the other chimes in even more bluntly, saying he misses the taste of human flesh. The fire dragon, though, speaks with more restraint, saying that if the enemy is coming, they can all help their dragon Tamer. And our boy looks genuinely surprised as the fire dragon continues, explaining that as his companions, they will appear whenever he needs them. A screen pops up displaying Flame, Giant Dragon. Our boy asks whether they still intend to leave after all of this, and another screen appears showing Flying Cloud, Giant Dragon Scale. The Cloud Flow Dragon explains that they plan to roam the world in search of other outland dragons scattered across it, gathering them together and preparing to resist the corruption of the dragon domain, while the Bronze Dragon adds that they won't stay on this island forever. Yet whenever our boy needs them, they can teleport to his side instantly. The twin dragons jump in again too, saying that in 3 days they'll come help, and whether our boy can handle the enemies or not, they're definitely going to eat them. And in the end our boy gives a final nod and says fine. He'll accept it. A screen flashes up showing obtained Flame Giant Dragon Scale 1, and then again obtained Flame Giant Dragon Scale 1. Our boy thinks to himself that with proof like this, he can summon 4 giant dragons, and even if they aren't on the demon-devouring Dragon King's level, at least he won't have to constantly worry about being betrayed at any moment. And honestly, a 3-day death ultimatum almost sounds interesting. Still, before that confrontation arrives, he needs to head back to the western region first to finish the 3rd giant dragon's quest. The next morning, the scene opens in the western region of the Yi residence, where Yi stares at our boy in utter disbelief and says it's honestly unbelievable. He went off to help the Murong family, and somehow returned with the dragon mother and 4 giant dragons. Then she adds that at this rate, his territory is practically about to become a full-blown dragon pet hatchery. Our boy stays unruffled, lifting his teacup for an unhurried sip as he tells you not to make it sound so exaggerated, because a seed of life takes a very long time to hatch into a dragon, so it's nowhere near as instant or dramatic as she's making it out to be. Then his face tightens and turns serious, and he asks her directly whether, while he was gone, the Ning family or the Luo family caused her any trouble. Yi answers evenly, saying she nearly forgot to bring up the Ning family. Ever since the Divine Ruin's Secret Realm incident, Ning Shuang has been coming here repeatedly looking for him. Our boy blinks in surprise and mutters that she's really relentless, then asks about the Murong family, wondering if they would truly just sit back and watch Ning Shuang throw tantrums like that. Yi explains that it isn't really fair to blame the Murong family in this case, because the main issue is that Ning Shuang always comes alone, only asks for him, and if she can't find him, she simply leaves. It doesn't look like she's here to take revenge at all, so Yi didn't even think it was necessary to inform Murong Shang. They're still talking when a loud voice suddenly rings out from outside, shouting for Lu Fan to come out and see her, and he immediately inhales sharply and mutters that speak of the devil, and the devil appears, because Ning Shuang is here again. Our boy looks startled as the scene shifts outdoors, where Ning Shuang stands her ground with a straight, unwavering posture, loudly declaring that she knows he's back and ordering him to come out, even shouting that if he doesn't show himself today, she's not leaving. Our boy finally steps out and tries to settle her down, calling out that it really is Ning Shuang, but she flares up instantly, snapping at him not to pretend he doesn't know her, and saying he finally decided to come out and see her. Outside the mansion, our boy takes in her outfit and tosses out a casual tease, saying she's dressed like that as if she's here to seek revenge, and that anyone who didn't know better would assume she's desperate to marry him instead. Ning Shuang pauses, and in that brief silence her expression turns complicated, tangled with emotion, before she answers yes. That's right, she came to marry him, and she stands there firm, refusing to retreat. Our boy immediately shouts back, demanding to know if she's lost her mind, accusing her of trying to extort him because she can't beat him, then blaming her outright, saying it's because of her that he's lost the trust of both the Ning family and the Luo family. Ning Shuang doesn't avert her gaze for a second as she tells him he has to take responsibility for her, and from where she's watching the whole scene unfold at the Yi residence, sister, he can only sigh and remark that she's witnessed forced marriages before, but someone threatening their own life right on their own doorstep is truly a first. Our boy reacts fast, lifting both hands as he tells her not to misunderstand him, because he didn't do anything at all. But Ning Shuang refuses to yield. She fires back that he wants to claim no responsibility, yet he already ruined everything she had and now he's acting like there's nothing between them. Then she calls him Luo fan and says he has only two options. Either he takes responsibility for her, or he kills her. And the instant those words leave her mouth, she draws a knife and presses the blade against her own throat. Sister Yi mutters under her breath that she used to think the two of them just had a rough time together in the secret realm, but looking at this now, it's clearly far more complicated than that. Our boy is caught between anxiety and irritation, and in his heart he keeps repeating that it isn't like that at all, that there is absolutely nothing between him and Ning Shuang. Yet Ning Shuang only tightens her grip on the knife and warns that if she dies here, he'd better think carefully about how the Yi family is supposed to explain it to the Ning family. Our boy snaps back at once, telling her to get lost, and that if she wants to die, then she shouldn't do it at the Yi residence. Sister Yi just shakes her head and points out that the Ning family's eldest young miss has always been proud, and now she's even throwing away her dignity for him. So how is anyone supposed to believe that nothing happened between them? Our boy drags a hand over his forehead and says this mess can't be cleared up in a few words, and the more they argue, the uglier it will become, then adds that he still has proper business to handle for the Morong family first, and he'll deal with this situation later. Sister Yi only shrugs and tells him to do whatever he wants. Not wasting another second, our boy spreads his wings, energy rippling outward as he shoots up into the sky, and as he flies off he can't help thinking how completely ridiculous this is. He decides he'll let her cool down for now and smooth it over after he comes back. But Ning Shuang still won't let go. She sprints after him and yells that he won't escape from this. The scene shifts to the Murong residence in the western region's Red Peak mountain range, where our boy drops to the ground with a solid landing, and the swirling energy around him gradually settles. Head leader Bai approaches to greet him, saying Mr. Lu Fan has finally returned, and Murong immediately asks how things went in the dragon domain, to which our boy answers calmly that it's been taken care of. Murong quickly invites him inside, explaining that the ancestor has been waiting for news, and he warns the guards that this is the Murong family residence, and no outsiders are to be allowed in without an invitation. Right then, Ning Shuang appears at the gates, and the soldiers instantly raise their bows and aim arrows at her, but she stands there without a hint of fear and declares with full confidence that she is Lu Fan's wife, and that she's with him. Murong looks completely baffled and points out that not long ago, in the Divine Ruins, the two of them were practically trying to kill each other. So what in the world is going on now? Our boy stares at Ning Shuang's back, lets out a long, slow breath, and admits he doesn't understand it either. But one thing is certain, she is absolutely not his wife. Murong gives a short nod and immediately orders the doors closed, and Ning Shuang erupts in fury outside, shouting that he's trying to shake her off and warning Lu Fan to keep dreaming if he thinks that will work. Our boy only feels more irritated by her outburst, but he refuses to engage and simply heads inside. And once they reach the main hall, he turns respectful at once, addressing the ancestor properly before shifting his gaze toward the Star Dragon. Murong reports to the ancestor that Mr. Lu Fan has returned safely and has brought the item they requested, and our boy raises his hand to present it, saying plainly, "Here, it's the seed of life you wanted." The Star Dragon studies the seed for only a moment before his expression changes, because he immediately senses something wrong. He says the vitality inside feels extremely weak, and with visible anxiety, he asks whether something happened to his mother. Our boy answers without sugarcoating it, saying the Valley of Life no longer exists, and the words hit like a blow. Head Murong looks stunned. Murong himself stares in disbelief, and the Star Dragon reacts the strongest of all, shouting and demanding to know what he just said. So our boy starts laying it all out. By the time he arrived, the valley was already nothing but wasteland, and the Life Dragon King along with the 4 remaining dragons had been trapped inside a secret realm. Beyond that realm, the entire world was crawling with monsters that can't be killed because they regenerate endlessly, and even the dragons that have already fallen have been corrupted by those same creatures. He goes on, saying the root of the chaos is something akin to an ancient god, and that ancient god has already awakened. The instant the Star Dragon hears the words ancient god, he shouts in shock, and a powerful yet unstable energy bursts outward from him, low and heavy, filling the whole space with suffocating pressure. The scene opens at the Murong residence in the western region, inside the Star Tomb, where the Murong clan head looks down at the seed of life and asks whether it can still grant the ancestor a second life. The Star Dragon answers with forced calm, explaining that even though a large portion of the vitality has already been lost, the seed is still enough to let him be reborn. However, He adds that once reborn, he'll recover only 8% of his original strength and attributes, and the remaining power will require 10 full years to slowly return. The clan head answers at once that as long as the ancestor can live another life, nothing else matters. Without the slightest hesitation, the star dragon takes the seed of life and swallows it whole in a single gulp. And the moment it goes down, energy begins surging out from his body, the power climbing higher and higher in wave after wave as a deep blue light spreads across everything, growing darker, thicker, and more intense by the second. In the middle of that transformation, the star dragon suddenly calls out to our boy, telling the dragon tamer to summon his star dragon, and our boy responds instantly by raising his hand as a ring of blue light appears in midair, circling, spinning, and flowing forward as it glides toward the star dragon standing behind him. Once the energy steadies, the star dragon points toward the other dragon and says that this is the reward they agreed upon. A system screen immediately flashes up. Star Radiance form strength increased from 500% to 1000%, transforming into the Star Ripper for 60 seconds. The star dragon's aura keeps rolling outward in heavy, forceful waves, and then another screen appears, displaying 13 million heavenly stars, World Annihilation, and 39 million heavenly stars. World Annihilation summons the Star Core. Our boy watches with unmistakable excitement and says this is exactly what you'd expect from a Dragon King level skill. And right after that, another system screen confirms. Quest completed. Commission of the Star Giant Dragon. Quest reward. Your dragon pet of the same Star Dragon lineage gains the power of the Star Giant Dragon. Murong and the others look overjoyed as the entire rebirth finally reaches its end. And once it's done, the Star Dragon clears his throat and addresses our boy with respect, calling him benefactor, then says he has one last request. He wants our boy to return to his territory and pay respects to his mother, the Life Dragon King. Murong immediately asks if that means he's leaving this place. In that moment, our boy thinks privately about warning both the Star Giant Dragon and the Murong family that Sakura Nation will strike Tianfu Island in 3 days. And although the Murong family expresses that they're willing to help him, he chooses to refuse their kindness, believing this fight shouldn't pull even more people into danger. Before he goes, he promises the Murong family that after he meets the Life Dragon King, he will safely return the Star Giant Dragon. With everything settled, our boy takes out the adventurer's notebook he obtained in the Divine Ruin's secret realm, quietly flipping through it as he prepares himself, calm and steady, while he waits for the enemy to come knocking. Then the scene shifts back to Tianfu Island, inside the Shadow Fortress leisure area, where Taozi comes rushing up to him with her phone in hand, her face tight with worry, as she tells him there's huge trouble because the headlines have just exploded. Our boy takes the phone from her and reads the headlines carefully, and after taking it all in, he points at the screen and says that with a lineup that massive, there's no way they came only for him. They probably plan to pressure the neighboring forces too, so they can swallow Taichi Nation in a single move without shedding even one drop of blood. Taozi keeps staring at the phone, visibly tense, while our boy continues in even tone, saying that since they came for him, he'll make sure they get an experience they'll never forget for the rest of their lives. The scene shifts to the Black Sand Sea, Sector 3, and one day later the enemy's strongest forces are already assembled there, their mere presence pressing down like a physical weight. The slave approaches his master to report that up ahead lies the endpoint marked by the resentment of Yamada no Orochi, and according to that mark, Lu Fan should be there. Yin, red eyes glowing, stares into the distance and declares that this is the endpoint of the marked dragon Tamer, that there's nowhere left for him to retreat, and that the dragons will inevitably end up in his hands. The scene cuts back to our boy, who stands before a projector and faces a massive screen, coolly remarking that it looks like their distinguished guests are already in position. He zooms out for a wider view, and in the next instant a flash of black energy streaks across the display, while outside the electric lights begin to flicker and drop out one by one. Someone shouts that it's lightning, that thunder shots are incoming, and there's far too much of it, and the thunder blasts spread with violent force, striking down and killing people, until another voice yells that seawater is surging in and orders everyone to seal the hatches. All vessels are commanded to activate the fleet's combined shield and drive power output to the absolute maximum. And the urgent order to repeat maximum output echoes again and again. Back in our boy's office, Taozi blurts out in surprise that the attack was actually blocked, but our boy stays composed and tells her not to get ahead of herself, because this is only the appetizer. The scene shifts back to Yin's army, now battered hard by the storm. Boats are trapped in raging waters, some vessels go under, and soldiers fight desperately just to make it to the riverbank alive. The slave rushes to his master to report that the storm and lightning caused around 40 deaths, mostly among third-term professionals and below, while their core combat strength remains intact, and Master Ian remarks that for a kid to hold a place like this, he clearly has some ability. Then the Master God gestures forward and orders them to keep advancing. The scene cuts back to our boy, who calmly tweaks the display and refreshes the screen, watching the situation unfold in real time, while Yin's army presses onward despite their obvious nerve from the thunder, lightning, and violent storm. One of the stronger subordinates warns that the fog feels extremely sinister and suggests they proceed carefully, testing what's real and what isn't, only for the master to answer with icy certainty that they should reveal everything, because the more extraordinary and mysterious this territory is, the more valuable it will be once it becomes his. Before long, soldiers begin screaming and sobbing, and some collapse onto the ground, crawling and begging as they shout that the fog is poisonous and their life force is being drained away, forcing the master to spread a ring of green energy outward as he casts a healing spell to cleanse the area, the green light rolling toward the soldiers in waves. A system screen flashes up, showing life resonance, stating that centered on the caster it releases 3 expanding healing waves within an 8th master radius. The soldiers feel the relief immediately, exchanging surprised looks as the pressure in their bodies eases. But the moment they start to relax, a white strike whips toward them, and one man's head drops on the spot. The rest stiffen in horror, and then, one after another, they begin to fall as unseen attacks slice them down. Someone screams that they're under attack, yet they can't even tell where the enemy is. And, as the seconds drag on, more and more soldiers are carved apart and sent to the ground. The Uroboro moon appears and remarks that this is a rather interesting welcoming ceremony, adding that they're waiting for them to panic, aren't they? While the Uroboro god snaps angrily that the fog is eroding their energy, and that there's no way this is a naturally formed phenomenon. A level 80 shadow swordsman raises his blade, readying himself to strike, and the master orders them to use illuminate, to flood the area with light and disperse the fog. Another screen pops up showing Bone Wrinkle of the Netherworld, explaining that if hostile line targeting or spiritual disturbance occurs within a 100-meter radius of the wearer, it will trigger a response. The master shouts into the unseen space toward the hidden dragon Tamer, accusing him of doing nothing but playing tricks and telling him to come out. Another system screen appears for Illuminate, describing that once activated it produces a powerful light effect capable of quickly dispelling all intermediate or lower illusions. And back at his base, our boy lets a faint smile tug at his lips as he tells everyone to get ready and enjoy the meticulously arranged performance. The scene opens on Shadow Island at the edge of a ruined city, where the Shadow Swordsman and another fighter wielding the Eye of Thunder are already locked in battle, striking from different angles. One of them yells at the concealed enemies, calling them hiding rats and ordering them to come out, then activates Eye of Thunder as electricity crackles through the air and his vision sharpens, while at the same time the Shadow Swordsman whips his blade through flashing arcs and pivots toward a beast lurking nearby. The man steps in and finishes the creature with a single decisive blow. A system screen appears showing earth-shattering cleave, describing how a heavy sword swing smashes the ground and sends a forward-propagating shockwave that damages enemies in its path and briefly knocks them back. Not far away, Uroboro comments that this feels like playing hide-and-seek, but unfortunately for them, he always knows which cave the ghost is hiding behind, and another screen appears showing Shadow Arrow, heart-piercing, stating that it fires arrows wrapped in shadow energy to deal massive physical damage to a single target. Around Master Ian, his strongest subordinates hold their ground and swiftly wipe out the Shadow Swordsman and the nearby threats, while back at base our boy watches it all on the giant screen, calm yet sharply attentive. Then, all at once, a man dressed in white steps forward on the battlefield, and as he spreads green energy outward in every direction, soldiers caught inside it start collapsing where they stand, dying one after another. A system notification flashes up, describing Illuminate as a skill burst that releases an intense light effect capable of dispelling or suppressing all mid-tier and below illusions, instability, shadow effects, and shadow concealment. Master Ian immediately shouts that this place isn't suited for a drawn-out fight, ordering every unit to charge straight toward the ancient city and end the battle quickly. And at his command the troops pull themselves together, regroup, and begin sprinting toward the next city exactly as instructed. When they reach it, Master Ian speaks with icy certainty, declaring that no matter how deeply the enemy tries to hide, it won't change the truth that they're nothing but turtles trapped in a jar. At that precise moment, our boy's voice rolls across the battlefield as he channels energy through the screen interface, calmly remarking that they arrived later than expected and welcoming them all to his hunting ground, and in the blink of an eye energy surges throughout the entire area as the army, still standing in formation, whips their heads around in shock and begins taking hits from every direction at once. A screen pops up listing Shadow Death Sentinel level 95, Shadow Death Sentinel level 90, and Shadow Soul Executioner level 85, and as Yin's forces turn to face the sudden threat, thunder and lightning slam down from overhead while Shadow Dragons, Shadow Earth Constructs, and Shadow Souls materialize and start cutting the soldiers apart one by one. The battlefield devolves into chaos, filled with screaming and crying as bodies drop, and then yet another shadow entity rises into view, spreading a broad ring of purple energy outward. Anyone caught in that ring starts shrieking as their bodies weaken, and then they collapse into death. On the other side of the field, one of Yin's strongest men stares at the shadows with burning fury, swearing in his heart that he'll dig out every last one of these insects and crush them one by one. And without any hesitation, he transforms into his giant form, his body swelling larger and larger as overwhelming force pours off him, clearly intending to flip the entire battle through raw strength alone. Energy then erupts from that top warrior on Yin's side as he activates Thousand Birds' Thunder Domain, and a blinding light detonates from his body and spreads rapidly across the battlefield. A system screen appears for Thousand Birds' Thunder Domain, explaining that it instantly weaves a three-dimensional spiderweb of high-density lightning through a special airspace within a 100-meter radius, dealing 200% lightning attribute magic damage per second to all flying units inside, until lightning saturates the sky like a lethal cage. Right then, a heavy shadow dragon, General, level 95, charges straight at him, and the man gathers power into his hands and shouts at the dragon to stop playing tricks as he fires his force toward it. But the dragon doesn't retreat. Instead, it swallows the lightning and keeps driving forward. Back in the command center, our boy watches closely and remarks that a fifth-turn expert is personally clearing trash mobs. So this must be Sakura Nation's trump card rushing out to stabilize the field, and then he taps the screen and triggers something else. A notification appears. Target locked. Mana Crystal Cannon sequence ready. Followed by another screen confirming Mana Crystal Cannon charged to 100%, and the instant it hits full charge, massive fire-heavy bombs roar out toward Yin's army, detonating in overwhelming chains of explosions that hurl soldiers into the air as fiery shockwaves ripple outward, the heat and destructive force turning brutally savage in an instant. Even head leader Een is visibly stunned, and with a scoffing disbelief, he says that kind of power is probably already on par with epic-tier weaponry. When a blazing fireball shoots straight for Yin's strongest warrior, the man stares at it in shock and blurts out how Lu Fan could possibly have a Mana Crystal Cannon, wondering why Snow Nation's military equipment is in his hands at all. He hurriedly gathers blue energy and tries to counterattack the dragon again. Yet the moment he moves, he's slammed back by a fierce counter, blood spraying from his mouth as the impact forces him to stagger backward. The star dragon lets out a thunderous roar, and in the next instant another barrage of fireballs rains down toward that man. He cries out as multiple blazing spheres streak directly for his position, and head leader Een and the others can only watch in horror as their second brother is erased completely, so thoroughly that not even a scrap of remains is left behind. Master Een reacts at once, barking an order for Ashita to deploy Fearless Shield and commanding everyone to tighten their formation, and Ashita activates the artifact-grade shield as a system screen appears. Fearless Shield, stating that using the artifact-grade shield as the core, it unfolds into a hemispherical fearless field with a maximum radius of 50 meters. And while that field exists, it will protect all friendly units inside. Another screen shows Fearless Shield durability, 10,000 out of 10,000. But soon another update follows. Fearless Shield durability, 8,821 out of 10,000. Back on Tianfu Island, Level 2 territory, area 43,800 kilometers, location Black Sand Sea Sector 3. Our boy triggers Auto Sky, Thunderburst, and golden energy descends from the heavens like divine punishment, slamming down onto the battlefield as the shield's durability plunges again to 6135. The man holding the shield braces with everything he has, trying to cover himself and endure the crushing golden force while he screams for everyone to hold the line. Yet the golden energy keeps pressing down without mercy, and the screen shows Fearless Shield durability, 4135. Then it drops again to 2135, until the light swells even harsher and the shield finally shatters outright, the barrier breaking into fragments as it collapses. With the defense gone, the golden radiance floods straight into Yin's ranks, scorching everything it touches, and the strongest survivors begin retreating in frantic panic as Een himself turns and tries to flee the advancing brilliance, shouting that they can't hold it and have to get back to the flagship to activate teleportation. One of the top fighters who's running gets swallowed by flames, and while he burns, he cries out to his master, confessing that his disciple is incompetent, and in the final moments the golden light reaches its absolute peak, sweeping across the battlefield and burning nearly everyone there down to bare skeletons until death blankets the entire field. In the end, only Master Een and a handful of his closest comrades remain alive. The slave stares across the wreckage and reports bitterly that they're all dead, but the people of the four houses have been almost completely wiped out, and says it feels like they all became actors inside Lu Fan's script, while Orobro stands there in silence. Master Een finally speaks, his voice low, cold, and heavy, calling it a brilliant scheme, because he cannot believe a mere level 70 dragon tamer could possess the means to flip heaven and earth and bury centuries of Sakura Nation's accumulated heritage. Another survivor snarls that this hatred must be repaid with blood, and Master Een raises his voice until it echoes across the sky as he orders every remaining unit to launch a full-force assault, declaring they will seize victory no matter the cost. Opens on a pitch-dark island cloaked in shadows at the edge of a ruined city. where the air itself seems heavy with pressure and the tension hangs so thick it feels unavoidable. And in that gloom, the master of the evil faction, the one who leads the 4 house members, snaps out a cold, sharp order for everyone to spread out at once and get away from the lightning strike zone immediately, just as purple energy starts to flicker around their bodies and, without warning, a system-like screen materializes in front of them to explain a skill called Shikigami. The screen states that Shikigami triggers automatically the instant the caster is struck by life-threatening, fatal damage, or the moment they are caught inside an unavoidable attack zone. It blocks that incoming attack, but the price is steep, draining a huge amount of yin energy and also consuming a small portion of the caster's own life force. And in exchange for that sacrifice, it produces a Shikigami doll that becomes completely linked to the caster's life and aura, inseparable in both existence and presence. Then a second screen flashes into view, laying out what occurs when a powerful golden energy attack, referred to as the night parody of 100 demons, connects, because the moment it strikes, the caster's body and their yin energy are instantly shattered into residual yin phantoms. Each phantom carries 20% of the caster's HP while still retaining the caster's aura, and they scatter at high speed in different directions, only for their power to begin thinning and fading as time passes. A third screen follows immediately, introducing another ability called Momentary Infernal Abyss, and it explains that once activated, the caster enters a state known as Soured Heart Clarity, a condition where perception and reaction speed surge by 500%, so close to short-term precognition it feels unreal, because within the next few seconds they can see the trajectory of every incoming attack aimed at them, their mind pushed into overdrive until the world seems to slow down around them. Meanwhile, the dog-like member of the 4th house, crossbow in hand, takes aim and fires a bolt straight toward that golden energy attack, and as the shot leaves the weapon, another screen pops up to reveal the skill Shadow Moon, Aberrant Path, a technique that launches a specially crafted shadow deflection arrow meant not for a direct hit but for control, because it detonates at a selected coordinate and generates a 2-second shadow singularity zone. And within those 2 seconds, the zone exerts a fierce gravitational deflection force that bends and redirects every energy-based attack that passes through it, turning the move into a clever way to shape the battlefield rather than simply strike an enemy. Even so, the golden energy keeps firing toward the 4th house members, and what's unsettling is that none of them flinch. No panic, no scrambling, just silent attention as they watch it come, until the dog with the crossbow finally speaks with anger boiling through grief, saying it was that very cannon that blasted his second brother to death, and he swears he'll tear out the dragon tamer's soul and refine his spirit as an offering to the heroic father of Sakura Nation, his voice carrying loss and fury in the same breath. Right then, his master turns toward him and says something that catches him off guard, because the master's wounds are already knitting together on their own, and even the meridians that have been corroded by shadow energy are visibly repairing themselves, and the dog can only stare in shock as he blurts that it's unbelievable, realizing this can't be some ordinary healing spell at all, because what he's feeling from it is something closer to a blessing drawn from the origin of life itself. That healing force takes on a vivid green glow as it pours outward and spreads through everything in sight, looking far less like ordinary magic and far more like a dragon sculpted from pure light, or maybe the radiant branches of a colossal tree unfurling as they stretch into the distance. And as that green life energy continues to expand, it rolls toward the 4th house members and wraps around them, as if something ancient and overwhelmingly powerful has just stayed awake. As the green current shifts closer, Yaju's eyes tighten into a hard squint, and he thinks to himself that this is no common power at all, because it carries the weight of a divine artifact that has watched the birth of heaven and earth. In the same breath, his mind races into ambition as he wonders that if he could seize that kind of strength for himself, why he would ever need to stand beneath anyone again, and if he truly possessed it, then what would Tianzi even be worth? His desire igniting hotter and hotter inside his chest. Meanwhile, our boy is standing inside something like a tent-shaped structure, calmly watching the entire scene play out, and with the same relaxed steadiness as always, he remarks that the greed shining in their eyes is even brighter than his mana crystal cannon, because he can see exactly what they are thinking the moment they think it. At the very same time, the evil master declares that a divine tree like this, and the entire island along with it, should belong to him and him alone. Yet our boy doesn't move from where he stands and almost seems entertained, thinking that the best part of the whole show is letting a self-righteous hunter convince himself the treasure is within reach, only for the one directing the stage to personally grind that hope into dust, because to him it's all nothing more than a performance he has set up from start to finish. The evil master tightens his fist, and purple energy bursts out of his body in a surge, and a screen appears with the word Shikigami summoning technique, explaining that the demon consumes a massive amount of chi along with a piece of a 100-year skeleton as a consumable, then descends onto the battlefield using that skeleton as its body while unleashing an oppressive domain pressure that presses down and suppresses the entire field. Another screen immediately follows, introducing Shikigami summoning, water-type umbrella dance, and it states that this technique consumes a moderate amount of brightness energy and a vermilion umbrella rib as its consumable, summoning Umbrella Island onto the battlefield where the entity wields an umbrella like a blade and releases swift, light slashes delivered with deadly precision. Then yet another screen appears, displaying Shikigami summoning technique Tengu Wind Skeletal, explaining that it consumes a medium amount of bright energy and one black tengu feather as a consumable, summoning a great tengu to descend onto the battlefield with fiery winds forming its wings as it carries out aerial suppression that rips apart enemy formations from above. After calling down these terrifying presences, the evil master removes the seals, those marks, from his body, and one of the 4 house members watches him with nervous tension and admits that something feels off, that their opponent is far too calm, only for the master to answer with icy suspicion as he asks whether it's just a bluff, or whether that boy truly has something reliable supporting him from behind the scenes. Yaju then lets a faint, green-tinged smile curl across his face as he declares that today they will reclaim honor for the Yaju family, and the crossbow dog follows it up by saying it's a fine stage, and even if their enemy ends up buried here, at least he'll gain a shred of dignity in death. Our boy calmly scans the battlefield and thinks that out of more than 1,000 enemies, only 4 still have a nerve to stand their ground and keep shouting. And then, without warning, the evil master throws his head back and roars the order to attack, his anger boiling over as multiple forces born from that purple energy surge forward in a single rush and slam toward our boy all at once. Yet our boy doesn't budge, not even a step, remaining planted there in the same steady posture. And then in the next instant a colossal wave of fire detonates toward the enemy side, panic snapping through the crowd immediately, because that blaze is coming from a dragon under our boy's command, and as it dives it sweeps down like a living catastrophe, catching enemies in its wings while they shriek and wail in raw terror. The evil master can only stare in stunned disbelief, admitting he has never seen a dragon like this in his life, and the 4th house members are struck just as hard, with one of them throwing his eyes wide and muttering that it can't be real, while the crossbow dog chokes under the crushing pressure, barely able to breathe, and another member blurts out a warning that the dragon's level looks even higher than their master's. Then a burst of golden energy erupts across the battlefield, smashing through everything nearby and igniting the surroundings as it goes, and in the chaos the dragon lunges straight for the evil master, seizing him by the beard and battering his power apart with sheer, brutal force, before opening its mouth and beginning to swallow the evil forces themselves as if they were nothing but food. Its golden eyes bleed into red as it orders the flames to come forth, and it even remarks that the spiciness of these enemies is unexpectedly palatable. Our boy's companions can only gape at the sight, with Towsy blinking like he can't process what he's hearing as he wonders out loud whether dragons really treat something like this as a snack, while someone else watching through the screens grows uneasy and worries that Lufan might be pushing things a little too recklessly. But the dragon doesn't slow down, continuing to pour fire across the battlefield until the flames swell into a ferocity that starts burning through everything in sight, and with unnerving casualness it asks whether that thing is edible in its current form, only for another dragon to chime in that roasting at high temperature condenses the taste and refines the flavor, while yet another dragon, its eyes a golden mustard hue, seems almost impressed that such a small being can endure its flames at all. Meanwhile, the 4 house members finally break, turning and running in outright panic as they yell and curse, demanding to know where these dragons even came from. But there's nowhere left to flee because the dragon's fire spreads across the entire battlefield, erasing every safe corner and leaving no place to hide, and the heat and blaze swallow them as they scream. The evil master and the rest of his followers are left completely shaken when one dragon plants itself right in the center of the field, radiating fire in every direction like a breathing inferno, and the 4 house members can only bolt in desperation with a single thought in their heads: survive. Our boy, still composed as he watches the slaughter unfold, casually notes that the enemies are trying to escape, and one of the dragons answers with cool certainty that they won't get away, after which the cloud dragon releases circular rings of purplish energy that spread outward in widening waves, the intensity rising so high it blankets the entire environment and seals the 4 house members inside it. Trapped with no exit, the members scream and curse at our boy and the dragons, their frustration boiling over as the ringed prison holds firm around them. The cloud dragon laughs at them, mocking that they can't even keep track of a handful of ants, while the black dragon grumbles that they've only just found decent food and now they're being interrupted. But before he can even finish the complaint, the cloud dragon cuts him off and tells him to stay away, and at that order every dragon turns its head to stare straight at the black dragon, pinning him in place with their attention. Another cloud dragon chimes in to remind him that eating isn't some form of entertainment, but a required process to sustain life, even as it layers the reminder with sarcasm by commenting on how elegantly he's dining. And through all of it the 4 house members keep screaming in hopeless despair. The twin dragons then remark that it looks like the others have decided they're unnecessary and aren't even planning to leave them any scraps. And one of them adds that he already told everyone to clear the field, yet someone is still sneaking food anyway. Opens back on that same shadowed island at the edge of the ruined city, where our boy is now flying in the air above the battlefield, calm and utterly in control, and as he looks down over the chaos he says they arrived just in time, because in his eyes these people were never true threats to begin with. The Cloud Flow Dragon turns to him and asks how they should handle the situation from here, and our boy answers in an even, cool tone that the defense test is finished and not a single detail about this island can be exposed, meaning nothing here is allowed to leak out. The twin dragons, their bodies glowing with blue and pink energy, respond at once that they understand, and immediately they begin to spread their power over the battlefield, crushing downward with such overwhelming force that the fourth house members start screaming and sobbing as they are pressed under it. Meanwhile, their evil master is sinking into the purplish energy as if it's swallowing him alive, and he howls in pain while desperately shouting for them to wait and spare him, insisting he can be useful, claiming he only came here to help his foolish disciple, then yelling again that the disciple is already dead so there's no need to kill him too. Our boy looks down at him and lets a faint grin tug at his mouth, then calmly asks what the master can possibly offer in exchange for his life. The evil master keeps screaming as the energy continues consuming him, begging to be released while promising he can introduce them to the elites of Sakura Nation, his face twisting as he shouts and demands to know why they're hesitating. And even while completely shrouded in purple energy, he insists that as long as he remains alive he can guarantee them access to all of Sakura Nation's resources. He swears they could control the entire nation, vows he would pledge loyalty, and even offers to make them the true rulers hiding behind the throne. Yajiu, one of the fourth house members, snaps in fury at that, shouting at his own master and asking if this is really the resolve of the master of Tianyin Palace, accusing him of wagging his tail before the enemy and selling out his own nation just to keep breathing. The crossbow dog speaks up as well, saying it's truly a spectacular performance, admitting he always thought the master was simply ruthless, but never imagined that deep down he would throw away even the last shred of a warrior's dignity. No, even a human being's dignity, so completely. The evil master sinks even deeper into that purple energy and snaps at them to shut up, demanding to know what they could possibly understand about surviving, insisting that only by staying alive can there ever be a future, because once you're dead everything is simply gone. And then he turns his scorn on Yajiu Kazama in particular, mocking him by asking whether that so-called honor and dignity of his can block a dragon's breath. Yajiu answers with a cold, cutting steadiness, saying that being linked to a despicable wretch like him is the greatest shame of his entire life. And he spits out the name Yajiu Muniashi with open contempt. The dog piles on with another insult, saying that with the way the master looks right now, even the role of being a good dog would be far too ugly for him to play. The evil master roars back at both of them, calling them foolish and arrogant, declaring that he sacrificed everything to climb to the very top of Sakura Nation, and if they truly aren't afraid of death, then they should go ahead and die. Our boy listens to the whole argument without interrupting, and in his mind he reflects that after the fifth time, a person's appearance becomes like this, wondering whether the closer someone crawls toward power while abandoning dignity, the more dangerous, warped, and twisted they become. Then the evil master turns back toward our boy and forces respect into his voice as he pleads, saying the others are stubborn and unyielding but he's different, that all he wants is to live. And he begs again, promising that if he's spared then all of Sakura Nation will become theirs, serving as their stepping stone so they can become the true rulers behind everything. Our boy reaches up and adjusts the black mask over his eyes, and in the same calm tone he replies that, in a certain way, what the master is saying actually makes sense. The evil master jolts with panic and hope all at once, that flicker flashing across his face as he hurriedly asks if that means our boy agrees. Our boy answers with a sharp grin, then just as calmly asks if he knows what he hates the most. The evil master stays, stunned, and asks what it is our boy hates the most. Our boy replies evenly that the man reminds him of an old friend, the sort of person who, for the sake of profit, sells away his own dignity and lowers his head in submission to other nations, and the words land heavier than any physical blow. The moment he says it, our boy rises into the air, and blue and pink energy from the twin dragons drifts and coils around him, flooding the battlefield with crushing pressure, and then, with no hesitation at all, the ruthless dragons send them on their way as the twin dragons unleash their different energies at the exact same time. Yajiu fixes his glare straight ahead and says that a loss is still a loss, but at least in this fight he gave everything he had, and the dog follows immediately, declaring that they are only the vanguard and that the descendants of Sakura Nation will one day seize the dragons. Meanwhile, the evil master's eyes blow wide with pure terror, his mouth hanging open as he screams that he doesn't want to die. In that instant, a frightening blend of purple, blue, and red power churns and gathers deep inside the twin dragons' mouths, and a screen flashes up displaying Ice Fire Frugatory, explaining that the two heads of the twin-headed dragon compress the origin of extreme frost and blazing heat into a single release, then fire off a catastrophic combined strike into the target zone, where frost and flames roar without stopping and inflict sustained hybrid damage on every enemy unit caught within range. When those two forces fuse and erupt outward, the evil master is swallowed whole by the blast, and he can only scream and sob as he drowns inside the crushing storm of ice and fire, while above him our boy hangs in the sky with unsettling calm, and the twin-headed dragon plants itself firmly on the ground to watch everything burn, until the battlefield itself is left as nothing but devastation. Even so, our boy can't help thinking about the last time Jin Sheng used a skill to fake his death and slip away, and he wonders whether something like that could happen again here. So he moves in close to the twin-headed dragon and asks if they're truly dead, and whether they might have some kind of resurrection method. One head answers that their power is on the level of a human at the 6th advancement stage, and if the enemies try to use any resurrection skill, it won't escape their perception, while the other head cuts in with impatience, telling him to stop nagging and simply crush them completely, burn it all until not even ash remains. Our boy turns his gaze to that other head and agrees without hesitation. Good. As he stands there, one of his people suddenly calls his name, Lu Fan, and when he turns, he sees he hurrying toward him in panic, anxiously asking whether he's all right and if he's been hurt, because the disturbance just now was enormous. Xiaoqin steps up as well, looking him over and saying it seems everything has already been settled. Our boy reassures them that it's fine and that the trouble has been handled, then says the timing is perfect and asks them to help clean up the battlefield, since there should be a lot of spoils left behind. Xiao Fei spots a glowing stone and gasps at how many good items are here. Xiao Chen starts drifting around as he searches the wreckage for anything useful, and our boy watches with faint surprise as all of his group members throw themselves into looting with obvious enthusiasm. Then someone suddenly calls out that there are 12 battleships. Our boy's thoughts start turning as he imagines refitting them into Henry C. Emperor-class magic battleships and assembling them into a fleet, which would be ideal. But the Yi family and the Murong family are both based in the western mountain regions and would have no use for these battleships at all. And besides, Morozov would only let him keep one main ship at most, meaning everything else would do nothing but attract trouble. Right as he's weighing that, his phone suddenly rings, a light flashing as the call connects, and he lifts it to his ear while thinking that he's about to give Tu Jing a truly grand gift. The scene cuts to the northern frontier military camp, inside Tu Jing's office, where Tu Jing reacts with open shock and blurts out that he can't believe what he just heard, asking again to confirm whether our boy truly wiped out Sakura Nation's invading main force and captured 12 battleships in the process. Our boy answers with the same steady calm, confirming that it's correct, then adds that he'll hand over 11 of the battleships and keep one for himself to modify, tossing in the simple question of how that arrangement sounds. Tu Jing responds immediately that it's good, excellent, even, and the excitement in his voice is impossible to miss as he says he'll send people to Dragon Academy tomorrow to take care of the handover. The next day, the scene shifts to Dragon Academy, where all the members are gathered outside the building, and without warning a glowing blue energy star begins circling through the sky, marked with a distinctive symbol, drawing everyone's gaze upward in surprise as they wonder what it could be. Then the sound of heavy wings pounds through the air, and a figure drops from above and lands with commanding authority. It's Zheng Gong, the Golden Wing Commander of the Griffin Corps, though his exact level isn't clearly defined, and the others descend alongside him, wings folding neatly behind their backs as they settle in. Our boy steps forward to greet them, asking whether Senior Tu Jing sent them and saying he's been waiting for them for quite some time. Opens at Dragon Capital Academy, where the force led by Zheng Gong of the Griffin Corps descends from the sky and lands solidly on the ground, moving with crisp, efficient speed, every step sharp and disciplined as they take position. Zheng Gong comes forward and offers our boy a formal salute, introducing himself as Zheng Gong, a golden emblem officer of the Griffin Corps acting under the Marquis of Zhenbei's orders, and stating plainly that he's here to receive the warships. Our boy studies him for a moment and recognizes him, remembering that Zheng Gong is the same golden emblem officer who handled the heretic attack incident in Taik Nation back then. He greets him with polite respect, thanking Commander Zhang for the hard work, and explains that even the standard-issue Sakura Nation magic warships are already prepared and ready, inviting him to inspect them and accept the transfer. A screen flashes up labeled Storage Ring, explaining that it provides an independent space, time suspension, and multiple storage slots, and our boy lifts his hand toward Zheng Gong and passes him the ring, prompting a visible flicker of surprise as Zheng Gong accepts it. Right after that, another screen appears with the specifications of a Firmament-class Magic Guide strategic warship, describing how it's fitted with 36 Holy Magic Guide cannons and an Omniphase shield system, how its main cannon, Meteor Judgment, can vaporize an entire mountain range once fully charged, and how it also carries an enlightened traffic core that lets a small number of personnel run the entire vessel efficiently. With the ring in hand, Zheng Gong inspects what's inside with careful attention, then comments that the firepower modules, protection arrays, and power cores are all top tier, nodding in approval as he says, "Good, very good," before turning back to our boy to report that after inspection, the 11 warships are in excellent condition and superbly equipped. Zheng Gong adds that this haul will greatly help their nation in researching foreign warship technology, and for a contribution this outstanding, he insists our boy must receive matching military merit, then asks him to hand over his medal. Our boy lifts his hand and presents it, and a screen appears showing Griffin Corps Golden Military Merit Medal, Legendary Quality Accessory. Zheng Gong explains that the golden emblem is already the highest in medal there is, and since our boy's rank can't be promoted any further, the Griffin Corps has specially prepared a one-of-a-kind medal just for him, with all of his accumulated merits recorded inside it, and another screen appears showing Griffin Corps Military Merit Medal, Legendary Quality Accessory. Our boy takes the new medal and fastens it onto his cord, then casually comments that it's only a formality, and that serving the nation is worth more than any piece of metal. With the medal secured, Zheng Gong salutes him once more and declares the handover complete, adding that if there's nothing else, he'll immediately lead his team back to report. Our boy quickly calls out to stop him and asks him to wait a moment, and Zheng Gong turns back toward him. Leaning in closer, our boy lowers his voice and whispers that beyond the warships, he has an even more important idea, one that's terrifying and comes with serious consequences, and he adds that even Senior 2 might find it hard to make that call on. Zhang Gong's expression shifts with surprise as he asks whether even the core commander can't decide. And then he asks who our boy wants to speak with. Our boy meets his eyes without wavering and calmly says he wants to speak directly with the 3 elders of the Dragon Nation. He looks at Officer Zhang and asks whether he can help find a way to make that happen. Zhang Gong pauses, still a little taken aback, but he quickly nods, saying he understands and that words like this must be treated with utmost seriousness, promising he'll report it immediately and telling our boy to follow him. The scene jumps ahead 2 hours to the high-level government district of the Dragon Capital, where our boy walks beside Commander Zhang through a heavily secured area, and when they finally reach their destination, Zhang Gong gestures toward the entrance and tells him to go in. Inside, a calm, dignified man sits waiting, unhurriedly sipping tea, and as he lifts his gaze he says it's been some time since they last met, mentioning that he heard our boy just handed the Griffin Corps grand gift, and now he apparently has a terrifying idea he wants to share. A screen appears to display his identity. Han Fei Bai, senior leader of the Dragon Capital and one of the 3 elders of the Dragon Nation. Our boy offers a slight bow of respect and greets Elder Han, and a moment later, once tea has been served and the atmosphere settles into quiet focus, our boy lays out his entire plan without holding anything back, while Elder Han continues to sip his tea with calm composure as he listens. After hearing everything, Elder Han slowly rises from his seat and tells him to come along, and as they move through the corridors, Elder Han calmly orders the guards to keep watch outside and to let no one approach under any circumstances, the guards answering at once with a crisp, "Yes, sir." As our boy follows behind, he notes to himself that even the personal guards known as the 4 peerless swords have been left outside, and that fact alone tells him his proposal is being treated with absolute seriousness. They step into a private office arranged with a proper desk and chair, the door shutting behind them, and Elder Han motions for him to sit down first. Elder Han opens by saying that it isn't as though they've never thought about this idea before, but they've always lacked a pretext that was both suitable and defensible. Our boy answers evenly that his territory was invaded by the Lord of Tianyan Palace, who even used worship poisoning as a severe threat against him, and that this, right now, is the most appropriate pretext they could possibly ask for. Elder Han listens, nods, and admits it truly is a good pretext, but he immediately adds that if they move, it has to be done thoroughly, because Sakura Nation's support network doesn't stop at Tianyan Palace, and every hidden danger tied to it must be wiped out completely as well. He stands and begins to pace at an unhurried rhythm, then says that with the president of Taichung Nation involved, the only person capable of pulling this off is our boy. And then Elder Han lets a faint smile show as he makes one point perfectly clear. Of course he won't ask him to act without reward. And once it succeeds, Sakura Nation will be folded into Dragon Nation's territory. And at that time, so long as it doesn't threaten the nation's foundation, whatever our boy wants, they will do everything possible to satisfy it. Our boy looks honestly taken aback and asks if that really means anything he requests. Elder Han answers without wavering that as long as our boy handles this properly and permanently removes the threat to Dragon Nation's eastern frontier, then our boy's request becomes the nation's request. At that, our boy's eyes brighten as he says, "Good," and immediately states exactly what he needs. A vast quantity of materials containing pure life energy, with quality as high as possible, no restrictions on type, and the more the better. Inside his own mind he runs the numbers, because for the Life Dragon King to nurture seeds of life, the energy supply currently comes mainly from the blessed resident spring and from harvesting the corpses of high-level enemies, and even with that, producing a single seed per year is already the ceiling. But if he can secure a massive stockpile of life-rich materials to use as catalysts, then the entire process could be accelerated enormously. Before he can even finish mapping it all out, Elder Han cuts in and agrees on the spot, saying they'll tap the National Treasury's reserves and even mobilize the major clans to gather more on top of that, and that no matter how much he needs, they'll keep providing until he's satisfied. Our boy nods once and says that in that case, it will be a pleasant cooperation, and they can start discussing the details. Elder Han agrees, motions for him to sit properly, and says they should begin with the first step, adding that the list of targets, and their locations, must be handed over to him as well. The two of them clasp hands, then settle across from each other, and together they start mapping out the entire operation in careful, step-by-step detail, until, without fanfare, an eastern storm begins to kindle in silence, sparked by nothing more than a secret meeting between an elder and a young man. Begins as a screen suddenly appears, displaying a newly acquired classified document. Our boy walks down the stairs while studying the information with focused care, and as he reads he thinks about Elder Han's intelligence network and realizes he failed to factor in all the other experts involved in the coronation beside Tianyan Palace, and because of that he knows this can't be dragged out. Deployment has to happen immediately if everything is going to stay on schedule. The scene shifts to Tianfu Island, into the shadowed inner region, and finally into the Dying Hall, where Tiaozi looks at his sister and urges her to eat more, reminding her that she's been cleaning the battlefield and cooking for everyone and must be worn out, and she glances toward the doorway and asks where Xiaofan went, because he just returned yet now seems to have gone out again, only for another sister to answer quickly that she just saw him heading out. Then the scene cuts to the twin dragons hovering in the air, their power rolling off them in visible waves as they declare that Sakura Nation must be wiped out completely. with one head stepping forward to address our boy directly while the other head adds that, as expected, humans always push their luck, and just because Mother acknowledges him doesn't mean he can behave however he pleases. Our boy answers with steady calm that this isn't reckless at all, but a carefully arranged operation, and once it succeeds, the life energy materials of the entire nation will be supplied continuously to the Life Dragon King. The Cloud Flow Dragon asks whether that's truly guaranteed, and our boy reassures it that it is, because he already has the approval of the 3 elders of Dragon Nation, and Elder Han himself has promised that delivery will be completed within 3 days after the mission is finished. One of the twin dragon heads warns him that if he breaks his word, it will destroy his territory completely, but then adds that if it's for Mother, he will accept the commission, and our boy nods with firm certainty and says he won't break his word, then explains that the classified file contains the crucial targets that must be eliminated. 13 Sakura Nation experts, each strategically positioned to watch Dragon Nation, and they have to be removed in one clean, precise strike. Standing with quiet confidence, our boy tells the dragons that stabilizing Sakura Nation is vital to Dragon Nation security, making it a win-win outcome. The dragons secure Mother's recovery, and the nation's enemies are neutralized, and the Cloud Flow Dragon affirms that it will do anything that helps Mother recover. Our boy then turns his attention to the Bronze Dragon, confirming that the routes and the key targets have been marked. He asks if 2 days will really be enough, and the Bronze Dragon simply dips its head in agreement, saying that 2 days is more than sufficient. Then, with a rumble that sounds like a threat turning into law, it declares for the hunt to begin and orders them to kill and slaughter every last one of them, while our boy answers that bloodthirsty promise with a smirk, already picturing how, in just 2 days, the Sakura Festival is going to become something far more lively. 2 days later, the story cuts to the Sakura Festival itself in the capital, Chiyoda, where lanterns line the streets and the air is crowded with excitement, children darting around in fits of laughter as they point at toys and decorations, and the entire city leans into the celebration like nothing in the world could interrupt it. Meanwhile, inside the Imperial Palace Council Chamber, the sovereign of Sakura Nation, Minamoto Takehito, sits with a hard frown and demands to know where the 4 house masters have gone, because the whole nation is out there celebrating the 5th turn, and yet the 4 house masters themselves have vanished without a trace. His soldiers report that Yin Tianzi took them, saying it was for His Majesty's grand plan of territorial expansion, and that they were sent off to Dragon Nation. And Minamoto's expression tightens as he says it had better be true, once they come back. And at that exact moment, dragons rise on the horizon and crash down onto the city, smashing through windows and ripping across the streets as if the festival were nothing but paper, the palace guards snapping their heads around in shock and craning their necks for a clearer look, while Minamoto himself shouts in raw disbelief at the chaos unfolding outside, recognizing what it is even as he can't accept it, dragons. At the same time, the Bronze Dragon and the rest of the swarm press the assault harder, carving through Chiyoda with devastating force, and throughout the palace the gods of Sakura Nation, scattered and caught off guard, cry out in panic, asking whether they can truly stop an attack like this, only for another voice to answer with grim resolve that even if they can't, they still have to try, because they refuse to stand by and watch their city be torn apart. Out in the capital, the guards fight to keep any kind of order while twin-headed dragons rain destruction from above, their fire spreading everywhere as buildings go up, streets collapse, and nothing is left intact, until it feels less like a battle and more like the city is being erased. Shrine priests force themselves into the fight, casting spells and hurling attacks at the dragons. But the dragons' glowing red eyes lock onto them, and the answering flames drown everything, leaving the priests suspended helplessly for a moment before they tumble down to the ground. And one of the few still standing snaps at the others to focus because this is their last chance. Yet the fire dragon keeps burning through everything it can see, wiping it out so completely that resistance starts to feel impossible. Inside the palace, one of Minamoto's guards sprints up to him and reports that under the dragon assault multiple regions are falling one after another, urging him to evacuate immediately. But Minamoto Takehito can only glare in stunned fury as he demands to know why dragons would attack Sakura Nation at all and who could possibly stop them. In frustration, he seizes the guard by the collar and curses the 4 house masters, demanding to know where they've disappeared to at the moment he needs the most. And the guard hurriedly explains that the 4 houses and the Tianyan Palace are in chaos and have no leaders right now. But there are still hidden experts among the people, so hope isn't completely gone. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to a massive building far off in a distant region, where Yoshiyuki, level 125 Akamura Divine Counselor and a great daimyo, sits with calm composure as 2 aides remain seated before him, until an urgent message is delivered announcing that the Lord has ordered their immediate return to the capital. One aide can't help but remark that the Lord only seems to remember them now, questioning why he never simply takes full control over the 4 houses and the Tianyan Palace in the first place. Before that thought can even settle, the Bronze Dragon comes crashing straight through, announcing that it has finally found them, and the instant it arrives its enormous energy blasts outward as it slams a paw down, crushing trees and ripping the building apart. Yoshiyuki and the other daimyo spring to their feet, startled and shouting as they demand to know who would dare wreak this kind of havoc in the Nakamura state. But the Bronze Dragon only strides closer, and Yoshiyuki locks up in shock at the sight of a dragon so massive it barely feels real, while the beast rumbles that, as a 5th turn class professional, Yoshiyuki looks exactly like the target they've been searching for. With no hesitation at all, the bronze dragon's eyes flare a glowing red and it tears through everything with its claw, leaving only total devastation behind. Nearby, a saint turns to a god holding a file and reports the fallout in blunt terms. The Nakamura, Kyoda, and Suramachi clans have been completely wiped out by the dragons. Minamoto hears it and breaks, shouting in despair that it's over, that Sakura Nation is finished. Yet a guard urgently grabs him and drags him away anyway, insisting it's no longer safe and that he must be evacuated. Then the Cloud Flow dragon fixes its attention on a green building, releases a wash of purplish energy, and streaks through the streets as a screen materializes to display the windfall technique in cold steps, locking the space, applying wind pressure, forming a singularity within the target zone, triggering a structure imposition, and converting everything inside the area into wind element particles. Until, as that energy spreads, buildings begin collapsing from the top down and nothing remains standing, and the Cloud Flow dragon declares the elimination complete. Meanwhile, the fire dragon keeps spewing its flames in a frenzy, announcing that everyone on the target list has been dealt with, and the bronze dragon, still smashing and tearing through whatever is left, confirms that every target has been eliminated. Even one of the twin dragon heads grumbles that it hasn't killed enough, only for the other head to snap back for it to shut up, because they're heading back. The next day, the scene shifts to Taichi Nation, inside the Sandalwood Palace meeting room, where a level 128 spirit controller, also a prince of the Great Court, addresses his officials while presenting the current state of Sakura Nation. Giant dragons attack the capital, the lord is dead, and Yin Tianzi has taken the 4 house masters away, leaving the entire nation in complete chaos. And he finishes by stating that this is the perfect moment to seize the initiative. Tengun steps forward and says plainly that anyone with eyes can see what's going on, because Yin Tianzi's so-called emergency heart profile operation is obviously aimed straight at their Taichi Nation. Not some random move, but a deliberate strike, targeted, and serious. Inside the Tan Palace of Taichi Nation, an old man at the meeting finally speaks up, reminding everyone that for years now Sakura Nation has competed with them in every arena they can. Economy, military strength, and practically every other field imaginable. And that this hasn't been harmless rivalry either, because Sakura has been secretly collaborating with multinational conglomerates and working to undermine Taichi from the shadows with intentions that are obvious and long-term. Tengun answers without wavering, saying Sakura Nation's ambitions never truly die, and that as long as they still exist, they remain a strategic threat to Taichi. Then his voice hardens into anger as he points out that the recent dragon assault has already wiped out many of Sakura Nation's hidden experts, meaning the timing couldn't be better, the moment couldn't be cleaner, and he issues a direct order on the spot. Everyone will follow Lord Tengun's command. They have 72 hours to prepare, and when that window closes, they will seize the entire territory of Sakura Nation in one decisive sweep. Then the prince, Tengan, known as the Prince of the Great God, steps in to stoke the fire even further, announcing that anyone who performs exceptionally during this conquest will be appointed as the ruler of Sakura Nation. So they won't just conquer it, because someone sitting in this very hall could end up governing it on his behalf. The whole room immediately buzzes with excitement as eyes turn toward Tengan with hungry anticipation. And even one of the old military leaders declares outright that is determined to claim the highest seat for himself. Right then, a screen abruptly appears, displaying Echen Byung, Aegon, level 17, Grandmaster Conjurer, and the mood in the hall flips in an instant. Without warning, rings of golden fire begin forming high in the sky, one after another, dropping toward the meeting hall as multiple blazing circles descend with dramatic force, and then a massive bird materializes and hangs in the air, radiating power as it launches a direct attack at Prince Tengan right in the middle of the meeting. The hall erupts into shock, voices overlapping in confusion as everyone shouts and demands to know what that creature even is. Tengan stays up at the bird, frozen for a beat, and recognizes it immediately, a 3-legged golden crow. And before anyone can properly respond, a figure starts to emerge from between the crow's wings. At the same time, Tengan visibly jolts and calls out to Elder Shu. The man who steps down introduces himself with calm certainty, and the screen flashes again to reveal exactly who he is. Shu Ming, high-level official of Dragon Capital, one of Dragon Nation's 3 elders, and the tension spikes the moment that name lands. Still forcing himself to look composed, Tengan asks what honor he owes to Elder Shu for arriving in such an over-the-top manner. But inside he's in full panic, silently cursing and wondering how Shu could appear so quickly and in person. Even as he speaks, Tengen activates an energy shield behind his back and covertly pulls out a remote, presses the red button, and a machine somewhere begins beeping. Elder Shu, whose presence feels almost like a soul, there and not there at the same time, doesn't look impressed at all, and he calmly remarks that Tengen doesn't truly believe that little device can block his attacks, and as he says it, flames ignite directly in front of Tengen, fierce yet unnervingly controlled. Shu says that if he heard correctly, Tengan has just announced a plan to lead everyone here straight into Sakura Nation and seize it, and the weight of that single sentence drops on the room like a hammer. Fear starts crawling up Tengen's spine as his mind spirals, because from the broad strokes of this supposedly secret meeting to the tiniest detail, like the exact moment he activated the shield behind his back, everything they do feels like it's already inside Shu's grasp, as if they've been watched the entire time, to the point that Tengen even finds himself wondering how much land in their own city still truly belongs to them anymore. Still forcing himself to stand tall, Tengen straightens his posture and argues back that the four housemasters of the Sakura Kingdom rose under Yin Tianzi's leadership for one purpose, to take over Taichi Nation, and now that their high-level leader has been eliminated, this is a rare strategic opening they can't afford to waste. The air in the hall stays tight and oppressive, packed with power, ambition, fear, and the unmistakable sense that the real game has only just begun. Elder Shu studies them with calm eyes and challenges their strategic opportunity, as if the phrase itself is a joke, essentially saying, strategic opportunity. Let me make a few things clear. And as he speaks, he slowly raises a hand. Above them, the golden fire rings begin to spin faster, and energy starts rolling outward from those glowing circles and widening pressure. Then he lays out his points one by one, starting with the first. The situation in Sakura Nation is already under Dragon Nation's control, and as he says it, flames bloom all around him, as though he's underlining the statement with raw force. One of the old military men jolts and blurts out that this means the chaos in Sakura Nation was orchestrated by Dragon Nation, but Elder Shu doesn't even acknowledge the interruption, simply continuing as if the outburst never happened. Second, he raises his hand again and states that Yin Tianzi and the four great houses have already been completely eliminated by them, and Tengen is struck speechless for a moment, barely able to process it before he stammers in disbelief that all of them are gone. Yet once again Elder Shu ignores the reaction and keeps speaking. Third, he lifts his hand once more and orders them to abandon their plan entirely, because Sakura Nation will grow under Dragon Nation's protection and Taichi will receive none of the benefits. Not a single share, not even a crumb. Tengen immediately snaps back, demanding how he's supposed to verify any of this, accusing Dragon Nation of wanting Sakura Nation's resources for itself and of spinning a story just to scare Taichi away, and challenging the idea that they should surrender a rare opportunity based purely on Elder Shio's one-sided claim. Elder Shio, his face completely concealed behind a black mask, asks, calm as ever, whether they truly don't believe him. And in that instant, brilliant golden rays explode outward from the spinning fire rings as the pressure of the energy turns heavier and more intense, before he tells them plainly that if they doubt him, they are welcome to try. As the blazing golden circular rays flare even brighter, Elder Shu continues without slowing, warning that if Taichi sends troops into Sakura Nation today, then tomorrow Dragon Nation will take a direct shortcut straight through Taichi itself, and he proves he isn't speaking in metaphors by driving a tightly concentrated punch of energy through one of the golden rings, then telling them to think carefully, because Taichi's military and government are already worn down by repeated leadership changes and constant internal instability. The fire rings creep closer and closer, pouring out suffocating heat and pressure until panic spreads through the hall, and some of the attendees even buckle and collapse under the crushing force, while Elder Shu, cold and unmoved, asks whether Taichi truly has the strength to endure a dragon's attack a second time. Someone in the meeting mutters in stunned disbelief that Elder Shu can teleport directly into the Tian household, and the moment Tengen hears that, fear hits him cleanly and completely, because he finally understands this is what Dragon Nation's real power looks like. Deep down he feels an unexpected relief that he didn't act rashly earlier, because otherwise it might not have been only Sakura Nation left in ruins. Then a man in sunglasses suddenly shouts to Lord Tengen, warning that Taichi can't afford retaliation from the Dragon Kingdom and urging him to choose carefully, and the screen immediately tags him. Moon Cha, level 112, Holy Healer. Right there, Prince Tengen makes the decision in his own mind, and with anger he orders every military operation cancelled. Yet before he can even finish the sentence, is left standing in front of the military leaders looking defeated, unable to fully put into words what just happened, while the air turns lead heavy and nobody dares to say a thing. The scene shifts again, 1 week later, back inside the Imperial Palace Council Chamber in Sakura Nation's capital, where a man stands holding official documents and is identified as Zhu Zhang at Yue, Dragon Nation Special Envoy and Senior Diplomat, and the agreement in his hands represents Sakura Nation's willingness to accept Dragon Nation's economic aid along with the Security Cooperation Framework. Xinghua turns his gaze toward another man clutching files, Takashi Shun, the provincial lord of Sakura Nation, who studies the documents with care, seeing terms that include the permanent disbanding of the four great houses and the dissolution of the Tianyang Palace, making it clear that the shift in power is now official and that the regional balance has been completely rewritten. As the council chamber meeting continues, Xinghua lays it out calmly, saying this agreement is the foundation of their cooperation and that it isn't only meant for the present, but also serves as a safeguard for the future, and then he raises the stakes even further by stating that as long as Takashi signs the document, he will officially become the supreme leader of Dragon Nation Sakura District. Xinghua offers him a pen, and Takashi takes the ballpoint and pauses just long enough to look at Xinghua, silently weighing the decision in that brief second, until Xinghua reassures him that once the signature is on the page, rescue and reconstruction can begin immediately, with no delay. Takashi finally lowers the pen and begins signing his name, and Jinghua doesn't look away for a second as the signature forms and is completed. When it's done, Takashi Shin states plainly that the agreement is now officially reached, and the two men seal it with a fame handshake. Jinghua then announces that from this moment onward Sakura Nation will be incorporated into Dragon Nation as the Sakura District, adding that from now on they will move forward together into the future. Outside the building, word is already spreading and people are buzzing with excitement, officials and representatives clutching documents in their hands with a clear awareness that history has just tilted into a new era. Then the scene transitions back to our boy, and in the days that follow the Sakura District slowly stabilizes as social order is properly maintained and everything begins to settle. With the agreement in his hand, he reflects that Sakura Nation is now nothing but the past, and that with this expansion Dragon Nation's territory has become even stronger. Because the takeover is so significant, he decides to stay for the time being on Tianfu Island and watch how the situation develops rather than rushing ahead, planning that once everything is completely stable, he'll head for the far north to search for the giant dragon that still remembers the Ice Dragon King. As previously agreed, Elder Han makes sure enormous quantities of life energy-rich materials are shipped to Tianfu Island almost every single day, and with that steady flow the Life Dragon King recovers dramatically, while at the same time the life seeds maturation process accelerates at an astonishing rate. In only 1 month, seeds that originally would have needed a full year already show multiple stages of growth, and at this pace the life seed is expected to fully mature in just 3 months, with new hatchlings arriving within 6 months. And this flood of materials doesn't merely speed up the Life Dragon King seed production, because when golden energy starts falling across the island, system screens begin popping up one after another. One screen announces that the blue dragon's level rises to 68. Another screen flashes Bloom of all things eye, tied to the destruction dragon, showing it spreading its wings and unleashing flaming tornadoes that deal massive damage to every target caught inside. Then another notification hits. The black dragon's level increases to 70. A final screen appears for Roaring Thunder, describing how it roars across the target zone, calls down multiple lightning strikes, and forms a storm area that deals heavy lightning damage while paralyzing any enemies trapped within it. At the same time, the golden energy brings yet another change, massively boosting the efficiency of experience accumulation on Tianfu Island and multiplying it several times over. Another screen pops up showing Kurama Eruption. The attack attribute switches to fire. Each life harvested permanently increases the attack power of Kurama City by 0.1%, and the current bonus has climbed to 14.6%. With every new notification, it becomes impossible to ignore the truth. Dragon Nation isn't only growing in territory anymore, it's evolving in strength at a pace that's downright insane. To push everyone's strength even higher, the system notifications start stacking up again, one after another, until the screens feel relentless. First one flashes up showing Jian Ying's level climbing to 50%. Then another follows immediately with Qin Xiu's level increasing as well, and right after that a skill panel appears for Starlight Annihilation, describing how it summons Holy Light that slams every enemy in range for heavy magic damage, then brands them with a Holy Burn so they keep taking continuous light attribute damage every second, while their magic resistance is cut by 20% for 6 seconds. Day after day, the active shadow creatures on the island are wiped out, the rise in strength becoming impossible to miss, and more screens keep appearing. Emerald Land Dragon climbs to 70%, Lu Fan rises to 74%, Steel Dragon reaches 63%, Poison Dragon hits 68%, and all of that happened within just 1 month, with Starry Sky Dragon pushing up to 69%, Hanku reaching level 45%, Dao also reaching level 45%, and everyone's power making a leap so massive. It can't be dismissed as small growth, because it's huge. 1 month later, with everything in Sakura District completely stabilized, I decide it's finally time to head for the far north. The next day, the scene shifts high above the Griffin Kora crew camp in that far northern land, where I'm flying through the sky. And the instant I cross into the region I can clearly feel the pulse of the Blood Moon's true body, each tremor stronger than the last, like a sleeping beast beginning to stir. And according to Senior TU, as the Blood Moon's activity keeps intensifying, the Griffin Corps has already abandoned their original camp and pulled their defensive line farther back. As I continue forward, 3 people on the ground suddenly snap their crossbows up and aim straight at me, barking for me not to move, and I quickly tell them to relax, explaining that we're on the same side as I show my madam credentials. Immediately their posture changes. They salute respectfully, apologize, and address me as the Golden Emblem Officer. I drop down to the ground and explain that I'm here to visit Senior Tu Jing, even adding that I brought him some good wine. Right then, someone comes rushing out with open excitement. Liu Changgong, level 76 Holy Shield Knight and one of the 3 squad members, and is accompanied by Liu Fei, level 82 Divine Punishment Knight and the squad captain, along with another member around level 78. Changgong eyes my golden emblem and cracks a joke about how customized it looks, while Liu Fei immediately gives a formal salute and apologizes for what happened earlier. And I tell Captain Liu is being too serious, because even if I earned the gold emblem, I still see myself as a rookie he helped train. Captain Liu explains that their squad only got back from a mission yesterday and came to rest, and I just happened to show up today. And Changgong laughs and says we're all brothers here, then jokes that I'm advancing so fast it's like I'm rising upward without ever stopping, claiming fate is clearly on my side and warning me not to drift too far away from them. As I sit there beside Lu Changgong, something suddenly clicks in my mind and I ask why Sister Shin isn't here. But Captain Lu hesitates the instant the words leave my mouth, his expression changing so fast it's like he's being struck, and after a moment of silence he finally admits in a low voice that she sacrificed herself 3 months ago. I go rigid, stunned, and ask how something like that could possibly happen. They start explaining that during a patrol along their usual route, the Blood Moon's true form suddenly mutated, and in that moment an enormous surge of black gas erupted from the surroundings, with Shinsei being invaded by the black mist until her wound began to rot and deteriorate at a terrifying speed, spreading out of control. Captain Lu remembers shouting at Chen Kong to hurry and get Shinsei back to camp for treatment, but she stayed calm even then and told them it was already too late. Before she lost consciousness, she begged Captain Lu to kill her, saying the fallen cop's energy was about to swallow her whole, pleading for him to end her life before she turned into a cop's slave, and begging, to be allowed to reunite with Li Luo. Captain Lu says that in the end, he granted her request, killing her with his own hands and whispering forgiveness as he did it. Back in the present, Captain Lu drops his head and admits that even though everyone keeps telling him Shinsei wouldn't blame him, her death still came from his hand, and that fact won't leave him. Another squad member tells him to stop blaming himself, reminding him that they all swore together that none of them would ever allow their comrades to become cop slaves. Hearing all of it, a heavy sadness settles deep in my chest, and after a long pause I quietly say that I want to go see her, asking if they can take me there. That afternoon, along North Route number 78, I arrive at the graves of Li Luo and Shinsei. The wind unnaturally quiet and the atmosphere thick and heavy, while Captain Lu stands beside me and softly tells Shinsei to look at who has come to visit her. I answer quietly, acknowledging him, and Senior Lu tells me to stay and talk with Shinsei for a while, promising that they'll wait for me at a distance so I can have space. I step closer to the graves and bend down slightly, and in a low voice I tell them I've come to see Sister Shin and Brother Li Luo, and as I stay there the memories come rushing back. Every battle, every laugh, every sacrifice, until I have to admit to myself that I never truly accepted that what we thought was a last farewell would actually be forever. After a while I straighten up slowly, my chest tight, and I can't stop thinking that if not for the ancient god, so many comrades wouldn't have died for nothing. Sister Shin would still be alive, and if only we could end everything before it fully awakens, maybe none of this would have happened at all. Standing there in grief, I call out inside my own mind, asking whether we have a chance to strike before the ancient god completely awakens, and I demand an answer from the Devouring Dragon King. In that moment, a young girl carrying the unmistakable aura of the Devouring Dragon heart appears behind me, and with unsettling calm she says that trying to kill the ancient god before it awakens is nothing but wishful thinking. I tilt my head toward her and push back, arguing that last time we joined forces and managed to slay a newly born ancient god, so why couldn't we do it again now? She steps forward and lays it out clearly, explaining that ancient gods exist in 2 forms. The first is slumber, and the second is awakening, and while they sleep they are like invincible beacons. They can't move, they can't attack, but they also can't be harmed in any way, which is exactly why they are untouchable in that state. She continues, saying the only reason we were able to kill that newborn ancient god last time was because it awakened prematurely, before it was fully prepared. The meaning hits me, and I say it out loud. We can only wait until this one awakens. But she places a hand on my shoulder and warns that once it does, it will be far more terrifying than anything before, because by then its power will be completely accumulated, and she even doubts whether the Dragon Kings in my territory could endure it. I ask her if there's truly no other way, and she answers that while we can't directly kill the ancient god during its slumber, there might be another approach, because she can try to kill its mount, and I immediately demand what she means by its mount. She explains that what humans call the Blood Moon is actually the ancient god's mount, and while the ancient god remains asleep, she can attempt to eliminate that mount first, because if she succeeds, then even when the ancient god awakens, its total power will inevitably be weakened. I tell her to do it, right now, to strike down the mount beneath the Blood Moon before it fully awakens. But she looks me dead in the eye and warns me not to assume it will be easy, because that mount is no ordinary creature, and once it truly awakens, even the combined strength of the 4 dragons in my territory might not be enough to face it. I press her again, asking if it's really that powerful. She steps closer and reminds me that only something absurdly strong could qualify as an ancient god's mount, then leans in slightly and explains that killing it would require the might of a Dragon King tier existence, and she admits she does have the strength to kill it, yet her power still hasn't fully recovered, meaning if she fights while weakened, she might not win. I ask what we're supposed to do then, because judging by the current state of the Blood Moon's true form, it doesn't look like we have much time left before both it and the ancient god awaken, and once that happens, stopping them will be nearly impossible. After a long, heavy silence, the Devouring Dragon finally says she can kill it, on one condition. She says she needs to return to full strength, explaining that once the life seed matures, if I can bring one to her, her injuries will heal instantly, and that restoration should leave her with enough power to deal with the mount. Hearing that, I can't help thinking to myself what she might be plotting now, and she catches the hesitation immediately, looking me straight in the eye as she asks whether I'm unwilling to do it. Frustration sharpens her face as she says she already put aside her grievances with the Life Dragon King just to help fight the ancient god. Yet here I am unwilling to spare even a single life seed. And then, to my surprise, she places a hand on me and states flatly that right now only the Devouring Dragon King has the ability to kill the Blood Moon's true body, that we can rely only on her power, and that there is no alternative. I turn it over in my mind, and when I finally speak, I tell her I can give her a life seed, but only under one condition. She tilts her head a fraction and asks what condition I could possibly have, sounding amused, almost entertained by the idea. I tell her plainly that after this evening, once the 2 summons are used and the contract between us is dissolved, she must not kill any humans, and she also must not harm any of my dragon pets. She bursts out laughing, staring at me like I've just said something absurd, and she asks if I really expect her to give a word, mocking me as she wonders when I became so naive. I answer calmly that this isn't naivety at all. It's a trade, because both of us need this deal, and her light golden eyes, almost tinted maroon, lock onto me. After a moment she agrees, but not without asking whether I truly believe in something like a promise coming from her. Then, wrapped in purple energy, she vanishes into the sky. A moment later the scene shifts back to Senior Liu, who walks over and asks if I'm finished, and I nod, saying we can go. Captain Liu tells me to follow him and says he'll take me to see Commander Tu. As we cross the camp, the scene shifts to Tu, and the instant he sees me he laughs and calls me a brat, asking why I didn't say anything before showing up. I laugh too and tell him I just wanted to surprise him, then pull out a century-old vintage wine and say I brought it specially for him, telling him to drink it sparingly. Tu snatches the bottle without hesitation and starts drinking right away, and when he's done he praises it, saying the wine has a real kick. Then he asks if they took me to see Shin Cai, and I confirm that I went to say my goodbyes to Sister Shin, reflecting that separations of life and death are far too common in the barracks. Things may be relatively peaceful for now, but if the fallen corpse ancient god awakens, tragedies like this will only become more frequent. While Tu tells me he hopes I'm not taking it too hard, I tell Tu I'm not crushed by it, and if anything, it only hardens my resolve to become stronger, strong enough to wipe things like ancient gods off this world for good. And Tu says hearing that makes him feel relieved. Then I pull out an adventurous journal that mentions an ice dragon, ask him to help confirm the coordinates, and place the journal in his hands. He studies it and tells me the location described isn't some unknown point at all, but Starfall Ice Lake, and I repeat the name, asking what that place is, only for Tu to explain that Starfall Ice Lake is one of the Far North's most dangerous zones, famous for its unique meteor showers that, once triggered, rain down explosive damage that completely ignores defense, making it absolutely lethal. I ask if there's any way around that, and Tu shakes his head, saying the lake region is vast and boundless and the only choice is to push straight through, though he adds that he does have a solution. He calls for Specialist Hu, and moments later Hu Jiwu, level 72 Eye of Judgment and a Griffin Corps specialist, steps into the room and respectfully greets Commander Tu and Officer Lu. Inside the Griffin Corps camp, in Tu Jing's study, Commander Tu Yudon introduces the man standing beside him, explaining that this is Hu Jiwu, the reconnaissance specialist, a man who has led squads across Starfall Ice Lake many times and knows the terrain better than almost anyone, and Hu Jiwu greets me politely in return. Commander Tu then introduces me to him as well, saying I'm Lu Fan, the one who helped Dragon Nation win the national trial, explaining that I'm heading to Starfall Ice Lake and that who will be guiding me there, who nods that he understands, but adds that for a trip like this, we'll need a full sector squad. Commander Tu answers that he already has the perfect candidates ready, and calls for Squad 78 to assemble. Almost immediately, Captain Liu and the members of Squad 78 step forward and report for duty. Commander Tu issues the order. The 4 of them will protect Lu Fan the entire way and make sure we cross Starfall Ice Lake safely. Even though a few squad members look a little reluctant about taking on yet another mission that involves their junior, they still respond firmly that they accept. Captain Liu turns to me with a grin and says that this time it's his turn to cover me, and I tell him I couldn't ask for better backup. Commander Tu wishes us a triumphant return, and after that everyone breaks off to prepare. One day later, outside the Griffin Corps camp, Captain Liu tells me everything is ready and we can leave whenever I say the word. I apologize for causing trouble, but Captain Liu waves it away, reminding me that back when I first showed up here, everyone assumed I was just some official's kid sent out to rack up experience in this frozen wasteland. I laugh and tell Captain Liu it's almost been a full year already, and that time really did fly. But Captain Liu says nobody could have predicted that the freshly second advanced dragon demon from back then would turn into a national hero, joking that now we're the ones who can't keep up, and I tell him to quit teasing me. Captain Liu just shakes his head and says there's nothing embarrassing about it at all, because he'll never forget how I saved both Shin Cai and him back then. One of the youngest squad members immediately lights up at the mention of it and begs for the legendary story, urging Captain Liu to tell it again, while another chimes in to ask if Captain Liu is nervous on his first mission too, like they are right now, with sweaty palms and hearts pounding out of their chests. Captain Liu smiles and says it wasn't exactly nervousness so much as extreme caution, because back then they were surrounded by beasts from every direction and genuinely believed they were done for. In the scene as he remembers it, they are completely encircled by ice-field snow monsters, and then I appear, roaring as I summon my dragon, crossbow in hand as I fire bolt after bolt while red energy surges around the dragon. Captain Lu recalls that I charged straight into the horde and said that if we just kill all these ice-field snow monsters, the crisis will resolve itself. The younger members stare in open awe, saying that's absurdly powerful, especially right after a second awakening, and they keep praising Captain Lu and pushing him to continue. But I cut in and tell him to stop already, and Captain Lu only laughs and says we can save the stories for later before giving the order for all units to get ready to move out. Everyone answers at once, loud and confident. That afternoon, as the Griffin Corps pushes forward through the northern cloud clusters, Captain Lu warns everyone to stay sharp, because in this region invisible snow moths and cloud beasts are known for sudden ambushes, and he orders the formation tightened as we press deeper into the frozen expanse. Tamer steps forward and tells Captain Lu to leave this stretch to him, and Senior Lu turns back to look. But before anything else can unfold, one of the Griffin Corps soldiers shouts in surprise, calling out my name, Lu Fan. I'm already airborne, standing atop my dragon with a blazing red aura rolling off me, flames spreading outward in every direction as the dragon roars. And when it opens its mouth, a surge of intense red energy erupts forward, blasting everything back and burning straight through the attacking griffins. A soldier riding a griffin gasps that Senior Lu's dragon pressure is overwhelming, while another stares at the energy signature and says it's simply unbelievable. Then a system screen flashes up. Perfection. The black dragon can detect enemies within stealth range, and once activated it dispels all nearby stealth and camouflage effects. I let out a small smirk and say someone's been hiding pretty well. Xiao Yi. And right then my black dragon spreads golden fire across the battlefield, scorching everything it touches, as another screen appears to announce all things incineration. The destruction dragon beats its wings and unleashes 4 massive fire tornadoes that slam every target caught within them for heavy damage. Then another notification pops up for all things incineration second phase, showing the destruction dragon pulling all 4 fire tornadoes together and compressing them into a single, violent explosion. And right after that a new screen flashes. Mount level 85. Another screen follows immediately. Sky hunting flying line fallen guards level 85, and the black dragon climbs even higher into the sky as waves of destructive energy pour down across the battlefield like a storm. Once the enemies are wiped out, I state that the area is clear and we can push forward, and one Griffin Corps member can only comment that it was total annihilation in a single strike, while another praises me, saying that after more than a year my methods have become even more terrifying. Later that evening we reach the edge of Starfall Ice Lake, and as I stay ahead I say this has to be Starfall Ice Lake, with Wu confirming it right away as he explains that the pink energy churning above the lake is stardust turbulence, meaning any flying unit that enters will suffer continuous mana erosion and metal interference. So crossing by air is impossible and the only option is to walk across the surface. Captain Lu points toward the glowing formation scattered all over the lake and explains that these are starfall crystals, some stable, others primed to explode the moment you get close. And if even one detonates it can set off a chain reaction through surrounding crystals, and once that starts, survival becomes nearly impossible. A system screen appears to define starfall crystal as condensed falling star energy with a high chance of exploding when biological entities approach. Captain Lu turns to Specialist Wu and tells him they're depending on him now, and who reassures everyone that his class skill lets him analyze the explosion probability of each crystal so they can steer around the dangerous ones. Another screen appears showing martial analysis, explaining that it releases the essence of a target object for precise analysis and determines its structural integrity. Captain Lu adds that Specialist Wu has already led teams safely across before, that he can tell at a glance which crystal will blow and which one's a dud, and even if it can be a bit slow, the crossing is guaranteed to be safe. I watch the endless spread of crystals and point out that checking them one by one is far too inefficient, saying that if we could trigger every unstable crystal at once and clear them out, would open a path much faster. Xiao Fei steps up and activates Emerald Land Mirror to scout ahead, green energy rolling outward from him in widening waves. A system notification appears for Emerald Land Mirror selection, stating that it allows the user to select a friendly unit and create 2 mirrored clones, with the clones inheriting the original unit skills at 30% of its attributes, up to a maximum of 2 clones per unit. As Xiao Fei continues channeling, the green mana thickens in the air and he darts swiftly across the lake surface, and suddenly someone blurts out in disbelief that Senior Lu's dragon has turned into 5. I immediately order an attack on the ice orbs, and another system screen appears for Lava Flame Continuous Breath, describing how it unleashes a sustained stream of fire forward that deals damage while also healing the user. Golden flames laced with crimson energy sweep across the lake and slam into crystals in every direction. Yet to my surprise the barrage doesn't work at all. Fueled by anger, our boy lifts his hand toward the beast and snaps that if fire is useless, then it's time to change tactics and go physical, ordering it to use claws and fangs to smash those orbs into each other. The beast responds by either attacking or blocking the blows our boy throws at it. And then, without warning, blue energy begins raining down, while the beast, now encircled by a glowing blue ring, starts biting at the falling energy as if it can chew it apart. who watches all of it with steady calm and says it's pointless, because mirror clones, pets, and summoned creatures can't activate the Starfall crystal at all. And the moment that lands, our boy finally understands what's been happening, admitting that if that's the case, then he'll have to trouble who to clear the mines one by one. Who brings his hands together and explains that from everything they've learned, this place has no fixed structure at all, and maybe this kind of chaos is simply the world's way of maintaining balance, because fighting isn't the only road forward. Some areas demand professionals like them. Not everyone is meant for combat, and that doesn't make them any less important. Meanwhile, Captain Luden finds himself thinking that strength doesn't only come in one shape, that everyone carries their own special abilities, and that lacking fighting skill doesn't mean lacking worth. A day later, at the Starfall Ice Lake camp, Senior Luden remarks that it feels warmer near the fire, and Specialist, who thanks him as he settles down facing the flames, sitting around the fire, who notes that the trip has been surprisingly smooth so far and says he hopes they don't run into a meteor shower, because if they get ambushed near the center of the lake there will be nowhere to hide, and all the work spent clearing their route will be wasted. Captain Lu suddenly barks that who has just jinxed it, and at that exact instant heavy blue energy starts falling like sparks from the sky, prompting Captain Lu to shout that the meteor shower is already here. Our boy launches into the air immediately and orders Xiao Fei to activate the barrier, and a system screen appears to explain Eternal Guardian, stating that it generates a protective barrier that shelters every target inside it, with the barrier's damage absorption determined by the Eternal One's health and self-recovery ability. Xiao Fei releases green energy that spreads outward into a protective shield, and our boy orders everyone to stay within it and protect Specialist too, declaring that he'll handle what's outside. Red energy flares around his crossbow as he starts intercepting the meteors, yet almost at once he realizes there are too many, that he can't block every single one, and that he needs to know which strikes are the critical ones. Right then, who calls out to Officer Liu and starts directing him to precise targets, 2 at the front left, 1 at the rear right, and the third one from the top. And another system screen appears for martial analysis, describing it as a skill that reveals the essence of a target object by analyzing non-living things through their structural integrity, energy state, material composition, and special properties, working best on items that are structurally stable or energy active. Our boy instantly sees how valuable that is. Thanks Specialist too, and channels red energy into his crossbow again as a new screen flashes up to describe Dragon Roar Arrow Shatter. Dragon Roar consumes arrows and fires magic arrows, with uncharged shots dealing bonus armor-piercing damage equal to 45% of the wielder's strength and agility, and after charging for 3 full seconds, the Dragon Roar arrow can be released with its damage boosted by 500%. He charges the shot, and the red bolt tears straight into the blue energy storm. One arrow slamming into the body of the beast as a huge bloom of fire detonates outward, and somewhere up in the sky something breaks apart completely, shattering like it can't hold together any longer. The junior members recoil in shock and blurt out questions about what just happened, because Senior Lu only fired a handful of arrows, so how did the entire meteor shower explode like that? And Captain Lu explains that Lu Fan's arrows struck the unstable crystals hidden inside the meteor shower with pinpoint precision, triggering a chain reaction that blew the whole thing apart. But what truly stuns him even more is the seamless coordination between the two of them, because Specialist who identifies the unstable crystals inside that enormous storm in an unbelievably short time, and Lu Fan follows through with impossible accuracy. He understands the Specialist's intent instantly, and without missing a single mark he hits the concealed targets buried throughout that massive cluster of crystals, and even though it's their first time fighting together, their timing is flawless, perfectly synced, like they've drilled this exact combo 100 times already. Who quickly calls out that the second wave is coming and warns Officer Liu that there are even more meteors this time. But our boy immediately unleashes a wave of fireballs and says with total confidence that it isn't a problem, telling Specialist who to just point out the targets he needs to hit while he handles the rest, including the beast, who answers with calm certainty that he'll take care of what remains and calls out for Xiao Yi to move. And in the next instant a giant dragon releases a thunderous roar that shakes the air itself, leaving Hu looking shocked and faintly panicked at the overwhelming sight unfolding in front of him, just as a colossal monument of fire surges up into the sky, blazing fiercely against the falling blue energy. 3 hours later, when the chaos finally dies down, someone calls out to Senior Lu, and a junior member steps up to say that both he and Specialist, who are unbelievable, staying calm and coordinating so smoothly under pressure that extreme, admitting they've become his ideal, while Captain Lu adds that tonight really opened his eyes, because pulling off moves like that and walking out of a meteor shower completely unharmed is something he genuinely finds impressive. The junior leans in as if he's about to say more, but who speaks first, telling Officer Liu that their escape from danger this time is entirely thanks to Liu's judgment and strength, because without him all the work they did during the day would have been wiped out and their lives would have been in real danger. Our boy replies that the credit also belongs to the Specialist, because without Hu's sharp observation and deep knowledge, no matter how strong he might be, he wouldn't have been able to take even a single step across the ice lake. They clasp hands, meeting each other's eyes with mutual respect. Then the junior speaks again and says they should keep moving, because the opposite shore isn't far now. After enduring 7 exhausting days on the road, the group finally reached the distant edge of Starfall Ice Lake, And as the endless stretch of frozen ground disappeared behind them, Specialist Who released a long breath of relief and remarked that they had finally made it out. Having survived the perilous crossing of the lake, the pressure that had followed them the entire journey vanished in an instant, allowing everyone to celebrate, if only briefly, the simple fact that they were still alive. Chang Kong then turned to Lu Fan and stated calmly that their mission ended here, explaining that their next duty was to escort Specialist Who safely back to camp. And hearing this, Lu Fan showed a faint smile before sincerely thanking his senior for all the effort he had devoted throughout the trip. Before departing, Captain Lu offered one last reminder, warning Lu Fan that the road ahead would be far more dangerous than anything they had already faced. And he mentioned hearing that the fierce beasts deeper inside were at least level 90 or even higher. Although he acknowledged Lu Fan's strength, he still urged him to remain extremely cautious, while Lu Fan responded in a composed tone that he understood his own limits clearly. At that moment, the specialist stepped forward and admitted that this was as far as he could accompany him, explaining that the region ahead was simply too dangerous for someone with a support-type class to enter, and Lu Fan replied that the assistance he had already given was more than enough, thanking him sincerely for everything he had done. With farewells exchanged, the team turned around and began heading back toward the camp, while Lu Fan wished them a safe return before continuing onward alone in the direction of the Ice Dragon ruins. Now traveling by himself, Lu Fan looked toward the distant frozen ruins ahead, fully aware that reaching them would still require several more days of travel. And without delaying any longer, he summoned his dragon and opened a portal to prepare for the next leg of his journey. As he advanced, he activated Shadow Stealth, instantly hiding his presence while quietly moving toward the ruins. At the same time, the system panel appeared before him, and the information displayed explained that this skill allowed him to freely enter or leave stealth whenever he wished, while the stealth state itself would not be cancelled even if a detection skill discovered him or if he suffered damage. 2 hours later, he arrived in an unexplored region known as the Despair Ice Plains, an area marked with a level of 100. And as Lu Fan scanned the surroundings, something unusual quickly caught his attention. Several strange ice sculptures were scattered across the land, and when he examined them more closely, he realized they were not sculptures at all but beasts frozen solid, creatures that appeared to have been sealed inside the ice while still alive. Sensing that something was wrong, Lu Fan suddenly noticed frost rapidly spreading across his own hand, and he immediately grasped the situation. The temperature in this place was far colder than anywhere he had encountered before, and the ice here was clearly far from ordinary. This strange ice carried a terrifying trait that could freeze living creatures almost instantly upon contact. However, the abnormal frost had almost no influence on Lu Fan, and he already understood the reason clearly. Because his body resonated with the bloodlines of many of his dragon pets, he shared the same natural resistances as dragons themselves, granting him an innate immunity to this freezing effect, which meant the lethal cold permeating this land could not easily harm him. At that moment, another realization surfaced in his mind, and Lu Fan concluded that this must also be the exact reason the Griffin Corps had never succeeded in developing this region. Without any warning, several powerful Ice Plains beasts suddenly emerged, their massive bodies rushing forward while releasing thunderous roars as they charged directly toward Lu Fan. And the system panel immediately displayed their information, identifying them as Ice Plains White Wraiths, level 100 monsters. Their abilities quickly appeared in the system window. One skill, Savage Snowball Throw, allowed them to rapidly form a massive snowball before hurling it forward to deal physical damage with a knockback effect, and once the snowball struck its target it would explode, slightly slowing any enemies caught within the surrounding area. Another ability, Bloodthirsty Frenzy, functioned as a passive skill that triggered when their HP dropped below 60%, pushing them into a frenzied state where their attack speed increased by 200% while every strike inflicted an additional 5% of the target current HP as true damage for 15 seconds. Facing the charging monsters, Lu Fan remained completely calm and simply summoned his dragon. Then as he watched the incoming creatures he wondered whether these beasts were merely stronger versions of the Ice Plains Yeti he had encountered earlier. Curious to test the power level of this region while also earning some experience along the way, Lu Fan gathered energy into his hand and activated the skill Starlight Annihilation, prompting his dragon to release the attack as a massive beam of condensed power shot forward toward the approaching beasts. The system panel revealed the details of Starlight Annihilation, explaining that the skill gathered the power of starlight throughout the user's entire body before releasing it as a laser-like beam capable of inflicting incalculable damage, completely ignoring defense and remaining impossible to block, while its destructive force scaled directly with the user's strength and level. The terrifying beam tore across the frozen plains before erupting into a violent explosion, instantly overwhelming the Ice Plains beasts as their furious roars were swallowed by the surge of destructive energy. And as Lu Fan calmly observed the aftermath, a faint smile appeared on his face while he remarked that the efficiency of this attack was quite impressive. Across the battlefield, other beasts watched as Lu Fan and his dragon soared through the icy sky while preparing yet another devastating strike, and Xingchen immediately began gathering the power of 39 million heavenly stars world-ending, activating Starry Sky as the Dragon Tamer aura ignited and dramatically enhanced the dragon's strength and combat capabilities. The system window then displayed the description of Starry Sky, explaining that once the dragon bloodline awakened its aura, it would gain a buff equal to 100% of its strength attribute every 10 seconds, although any unused buffs could not stack. Within the core of 39 million heavenly stars, a stellar nucleus took shape, its power steadily growing as stars continuously split and multiplied within it, and when the decisive moment arrived, the Sky Dragon could detonate that star, unleashing catastrophic force capable of devastating the world itself. As overwhelming energy gathered, the dragon launched an unrelenting storm of heavenly star strikes across the frozen plains, while countless meteors rained down from the sky and smashed into the remaining Ice Plains beasts, crushing them one after another as the dragon's level steadily rose with every defeated enemy. Soon afterward, the system panel displayed the updated results. Lu Fan had reached level 75. The Starry Sky Dragon had advanced to level 70, and the Steel Dragon had risen to level 64. As drifting snow slowly settled over the battlefield, more Ice Plains beasts began appearing throughout the frozen landscape, and the system window indicated that their levels were gradually increasing, which made Lu Fan realize that the monsters now emerging were stronger than those he had just defeated. Moments later, the beast launched a dense barrage of icicles straight toward him. Lu Fan responded instantly by activating Star Radiant Scale Armor, forming a protective barrier around his body that intercepted the incoming attacks, and the system window displayed the skill's description. Star Radiant Scale Armor infused the user's scales with starlight, allowing it to absorb all incoming damage for 60 seconds, and when that duration ended, every enemy within melee range would suffer damage equal to the total amount the armor had absorbed. The countless icicles hurled by the beast struck the shield one after another, yet none of them managed to inflict any harm. And as Lu Fan watched the attacks rebound harmlessly away, he felt puzzled and wondered how an ice-type skill could somehow end up dealing fire damage. At that moment, something strange suddenly occurred. Every beast present lowered its head and bowed, acting as though their master had just arrived. Lu Fan was startled by this abrupt reaction and could not understand what kind of existence could intimidate creatures this powerful. So suspecting that an even greater threat might be lurking nearby, he mounted his dragon and took to the air to search for the source of their fear. While flying across the icy plains, he soon spotted several Ice Plains beasts lying motionless on the ground below. After landing nearby, Lu Fan approached one of the fallen creatures and knelt beside it, reaching out to touch the blood with his fingers, and he quickly realized that it was still fresh, which meant the beast had been killed only moments earlier. After examining the scene more carefully, he concluded that something powerful had been hunting them, yet whatever it was had not shown itself, and the traces left behind clearly did not resemble the work of a dragon. Lu Fan began to suspect that a rare elite monster, or perhaps even an area boss, was hiding somewhere nearby while relying on powerful stealth abilities, and activating Shadow Stealth once again. He concealed his presence before quietly moving toward the disturbance. Not long afterward, he discovered a massive herd of Ice Plains beasts gathered within a frozen valley. At the very center of the herd stood a powerful ice crystal beast, a rare level 120 creature surrounded by intense freezing energy. Its primary ability was Aurora Spiral Pierce, a skill that condensed razor-sharp ice energy within its spiral-shaped tentacles before releasing it as a high-speed piercing strike capable of tearing through anything along its path, dealing heavy ice damage while instantly freezing the target. And the creature also possessed an ice crystal domain that significantly enhanced its regeneration while freezing anything that entered its territory. The system panel further revealed that the ice crystal beast had a natural fondness for humans, particularly beautiful women, and could be tamed as a mount capable of granting its rider 70% of its total attributes, which made Lu Fan quickly realize that this creature was naturally suited to serve as a human mount. At that moment, the ice crystal beast suddenly leaped high into the air, and while rising it unleashed Aurora Spiral Pierce, sending the attack forward like a spiraling beam of frozen light that carried a devastating aura, freezing everything along its trajectory, and turning the battlefield into a deadly frozen domain. While Lu Fan calmly observed from a distance and silently thought that although he could already fly freely and Xiao Yi possessed a dragon saddle, he himself did not actually have a personal mount. Soon afterward, the ice crystal beast rose onto its hind legs and released a sharp cry that echoed across the frozen plains, its roar spreading throughout the entire region as Lu Fan continued watching from afar. And at that moment he began to suspect that the creature had already detected both him and Xing Chen. Within the unexplored territory of the Despair Ice Plains, Lu Fan dismissed Shadow Stealth, and realizing the beast might escape at any moment, he immediately ordered Xing Chen to pursue it and ensure it could not flee, while simultaneously summoning Xiao Yi and instructing her to intercept the creature together with Xing Chen. Xiao Yi reacted instantly by activating one of her abilities, gathering blazing energy inside her mouth before unleashing a violent surge of molten fire known as Lava Burst, an attack that spread across the battlefield like a wave of scorching lava. The system panel displayed the skill's description, explaining that flames would form within the designated area to create a pool of lava, and any targets caught inside would gradually sink into the magma while continuously suffering heavy damage. At the same time, Xing Chen activated his own ability and released Starlight Annihilation, firing a concentrated beam of destructive energy directly toward the ice crystal beast, and in a single moment both dragons unleashed their attacks simultaneously. However, despite the overwhelming assault, The ice crystal beast moved with astonishing speed and effortlessly evaded the combined strike, revealing just how powerful and agile it truly was. Seeing this, Lu Fan became certain that the creature genuinely deserved its title as a rare level 120 beast. So he immediately changed his strategy and, instead of trying to destroy it, ordered Xiao Yi to transform into her World Destroyer form and use Dragon's Might to suppress and control the creature. Xiao Yi immediately activated Dragon's Might, and the system panel appeared to display the details of the ability. The black dragon continuously released a terrifying oppressive aura capable of inflicting fear, immobilization, and stun on all enemy targets within a wide surrounding area. As the skill took effect, Xiao Yi let out a thunderous roar, unleashing crushing pressure that swept across the entire battlefield. The ice crystal beast was instantly afflicted by multiple negative effects: fear, stun, and immobilization. And seizing that brief window, Lu Fan calmly descended from above before slowly approaching the creature while it remained frozen in place, intending to capture it before it could recover and escape. Advancing carefully, he attempted to soothe the beast, speaking gently as if to reassure it that he meant no harm, while trying to persuade it to trust him and asking it to become his mount. However, just as the fear and stun effects began to fade, the ice crystal beast suddenly broke free from the restraints. Startled and panicked, the creature immediately fled the area, leaving Lu Fan frustrated after coming so close to capturing it, and he could not understand why the beast had reacted this way, especially when it was supposed to be naturally friendly toward humans. After thinking about it for a moment, Lu Fan finally realized the reason. The ice crystal beast possessed a natural affinity for women, which explained why it had rejected him. Rather than feeling discouraged, he simply joked to himself that he could always bring it to meet some beautiful women later. Just before the beast could escape completely, Lu Fan extended his hand and quickly activated another skill, and the system panel immediately displayed the information for territory teleportation, an ability that allowed the Lord to open or close a portal connected to their territory at any time, though it required 10 seconds of channeling and only a single portal could exist at once. A glowing territorial portal opened, and in the very next instant the ice crystal beast was pulled straight into it, successfully captured. Moments later, the scene shifted to Tianfu Island, where a peaceful hot spring beach lay beneath bright sunlight as several girls relaxed along the shore under the shade of palm trees, casually enjoying fresh fruit while taking in the calm surroundings. Suddenly, a strange portal formed nearby, drawing their attention, and before they could react, the ice crystal beast leapt out onto the sand, with Lu Fan rushing through the portal immediately afterward as he chased after his target. Determined not to allow the creature to escape again, Lu Fan instantly activated another skill and struck with Blade Armor Scythe, sending a sharp crescent-shaped blade slicing forward toward the beast before it suddenly transformed into chains that wrapped tightly around the creature's legs, stopping its movement at once. The trap worked instantly, throwing the beast off balance as its bound legs forced it to collapse heavily onto the ground. Watching the sudden scene unfold before them, the girls gasped in shock and asked what had just happened, wondering why Lu Fan had suddenly brought such a dangerous creature onto the beach. Qin Xiu was the first to step forward, remarking that the beast actually looked quite beautiful and probably was not dangerous at all, and Lu Fan nodded while explaining that the ice crystal beast was a rare mount capable of being tamed, one that naturally possessed a strong affinity toward humans. Han Ku cautiously approached the creature and gently reached out to pet it, soon noticing that it behaved calmly and even resembled a unicorn in appearance. And Lu Fan smiled as he admitted that he himself could not tame it because the beast seemed far more affectionate toward beautiful women, which was why he suggested that they try taming it instead. Qin Xiu commented with amusement that the creature appeared to have a rather perverted trait, and hearing that, Daozi revealed a playful grin while saying she would show off her charm, adding that she had wanted a dedicated mount for a long time. Lu Fan encouraged her attempt, and Daozi confidently stepped forward to try taming the beast, yet Han Ku was already interacting with it, prompting Daozi to remark that it seemed she had arrived too late. Qin Xiu burst into laughter and exclaimed that the creature behaved just like a little puppy, while Jianying also stepped forward, clearly amused by the sight of a horse acting more like a dog. As Lu Fan watched the scene unfold, he quietly muttered to himself that the beast truly favored beauty, and that perhaps he simply was not worthy of it. Not long afterward, the creature suddenly vanished in a brief flash of light, and the system panel immediately appeared with a message announcing that the ice crystal beast had been successfully tamed. At that very moment, a delicate ice crystal symbol formed on Han Ku's forehead, glowing faintly like a tiny frozen star. The crystalline mark shimmered briefly before settling into place, an unmistakable sign that a beast contract had been established. Han Ku quickly understood what had happened. The ice crystal beast had acknowledged her as its master, completing the taming process and becoming her mount. To confirm the bond, Lu Fan asked her to summon it once again, and she agreed before calling for the creature, after which a swirl of icy blue light gathered around her almost immediately as the ice crystal beast materialized beside her once more. The beast allowed Han Ku to mount it without any resistance, clearly proving that the taming had succeeded, and as she rode it upward into the sky, Lu Fan watched from below while remarking that his aunt now had her own exclusive mount. Not only would traveling become far more convenient, but with the attribute bonus provided by a level 120 ice crystal beast, there would hardly be any need to worry about attacks from dangerous monsters along the way. Seeing this, Daozi gasped in amazement and admitted that she felt a little jealous, saying she also wanted to experience flying like that. And Lu Fan asked whether they liked the ice crystal beast while mentioning that the ice plains likely contained more creatures of the same kind, explaining that he planned to search the area for them. Qin Xiu remarked that rare beasts like that were probably extremely difficult to find. But Daozi immediately begged Lu Fan to begin searching right away and even thanked him in advance, while Lu Fan simply smiled and reassured them not to worry, explaining that the journey to the Ice Dragon ruins was still long and that along the way they might encounter more than just a single ice crystal beast. He promised that if he discovered additional ones, he would bring them back so everyone could have their own mount. And hearing this, the girls cheered happily, thrilled by the possibility that each of them might soon obtain a powerful flying mount of their own. Lu Fan soon returned to the Despair ice field and continued flying forward alongside his dragons. And as he crossed the endless frozen plains, a single thought lingered in his mind. Although he truly wanted to capture an ice crystal beast for everyone, creatures like that were incredibly rare, and even encountering one earlier had already been an extraordinary stroke of luck. Even so, he refused to give up on the idea, and while moving steadily across the icy terrain, his attention was suddenly drawn to a small rock lying ahead. Curiosity caused him to slow down before eventually stopping to examine the object more closely. At that exact moment, a massive shadow spread across the ground above him, followed by a thunderous roar that echoed throughout the frozen plains. Lu Fan immediately opened the status window, which revealed the information of the creature towering before him. It was an enormous ice crystal mountain beast, a level 120 monster whose gigantic body resembled a moving mountain composed of ice and crystal-covered rock. According to the panel, its main ability was Rock Arm Smash, a devastating attack that allowed the creature to swing its massive stone arms in a wide arc, crushing everything in front of it and dealing tremendous damage. Yet that was not the creature's only terrifying ability, for it also possessed another dangerous skill known as Ice Rock Avalanche. With this power, the monster could seize a target, hurl them high into the air, and slam them violently onto the ground. The initial impact alone caused enormous damage, but the real danger appeared immediately afterward, as sharp ice spikes erupted from the ground at the point of impact, triggering a deadly avalanche capable of burying everything nearby. The system panel further indicated that the massive mountain-like creature possessed several additional abilities, though the full details of those powers had not yet been revealed. Lu Fan could not help feeling surprised when he saw the monster, because he remembered encountering a similar creature once before inside the secret realm of the Grand Trial, although he had never expected to meet an enhanced version of it here. Without hesitation, he immediately activated his defensive skill Starlight Scale Armor, which infused his scales with starlight and allowed him to continuously absorb incoming damage for 60 seconds, and when the duration expired, every enemy within melee range would suffer damage equal to the total amount the armor had absorbed. After activating the defense, he promptly ordered his dragons to launch their attack. Xiaoyi moved first, launching a sudden sneak attack from behind as she swiftly unleashed the powerful skill Lava Blaze, sending a blazing surge of fiery energy crashing toward the mountain-like monster. However, to everyone's surprise, the attack produced no effect at all. In response, the gigantic creature immediately activated its mountain arm ability, causing its enormous rocky arms to spin rapidly as they swept across the battlefield, crushing everything in front of it while dealing heavy damage. As the mountain-like monster swung its gigantic stone arms through the battlefield, Xingqian suddenly appeared directly in front of it, and in a single instant she intercepted the spinning attack, blocking the massive arms and bringing the dangerous motion to a complete stop. At the same time, Xiaoyi transformed into her terrifying World Destroyer form, her body expanding into a colossal dragon that radiated overwhelming power. The moment the transformation was complete, the dragon released a thunderous roar and activated World Destroyer Roar, and the immense force of the sound struck the stone monster's senses, leaving it briefly disoriented and completely distracted. Seizing that moment, Xingqian immediately activated the skill Starlight Scale Armor. With the two dragons attacking in perfect coordination, the enormous stone creature was instantly knocked down, and the frozen ground trembled violently as its gigantic body crashed heavily onto the earth. Yet the monster was not completely defeated. Struggling against the impact, it slowly forced itself back to its feet while preparing to unleash another terrifying roar. Before the creature could act, Lu Fan had already stepped forward, his fists surging forward through the air while surrounded by powerful aura, and standing before the towering monster, he calmly declared that this strike will be his final attack against the mountain beast. With those words, his fist accelerated with unstoppable force as he intended to end the battle with a single blow. Without hesitation, Lu Fan rushed forward at incredible speed, instantly closing the distance between himself and the gigantic creature, and just before delivering the decisive strike, he activated a powerful skill known as Divine Bone Descent, a rare ability that could only be used while wearing the legendary Divine Bone Gauntlets. The moment the skill activated, a faint radiant armor materialized around Lu Fan's body. It was a Divine Bone Armor, a powerful protection that prevented his equipment from being captured or suppressed by starlight abilities, and at the same time the armor dramatically enhanced his physical strength, instantly increasing every attribute, strength, speed, defense, and overall power, by 300%. Energy erupted around him like a raging storm, and empowered by the overwhelming force of the divine bone armor, Lu Fan surged forward like a meteor crashing toward the earth as his fist slammed directly into the gigantic mountain monster. A deafening explosion thundered across the frozen battlefield as the enormous creature shattered instantly into countless fragments, chunks of rock and ice scattering in every direction until not a single piece of its massive body remained intact. Lu Fan slowly rose into the air and hovered calmly above the battlefield while his dragons gathered beside him. Watching the monster fall so easily filled Lu Fan with confidence, and at that moment he became certain that he could now defeat even the most dangerous level 120 beasts on his own, perhaps even facing an entire group of them without fear. He also believed that when the time finally came to confront the Ice Dragon King, he would stand a far greater chance of resisting the terrifying power of the fallen god. Suddenly, Xiao Yi noticed something unusual far in the distance and immediately pointed it out to Lu Fan. And curious about what she had seen, Lu Fan turned his gaze in that direction while jokingly wondering whether another giant mountain monster might be sleeping there. But when he focused more carefully, he froze in shock. Below him lay a nest of ice crystal creatures, and within that icy nest stood several ice crystal beasts whose bodies emitted a faint pale blue glow. The moment Lu Fan saw them, excitement spread across his face, and without wasting even a second he headed straight toward them. Only moments earlier he had been worried about encountering another dangerous monster, yet now he felt grateful for this unexpected discovery. He even joked to himself that he should probably thank the mountain monster, because without that battle he might never have discovered the ice crystal beast at all. Lu Fan then instructed Xiao Yi and Xingchen to remain where they were and wait for him, reminding them not to startle the creatures, and after that he gently descended from the sky before landing quietly near the herd. Looking calmly at the horses, Lu Fan spoke in a soft and reassuring tone, trying to calm them, yet the creatures still appeared uneasy and cautious toward the unfamiliar figure standing before them. Realizing what he needed to do, Lu Fan summoned his blade armor, forming a sharp sickle-shaped weapon in his hand, and moving forward with careful precision he began capturing the horses one by one, binding their legs with rope formed from the weapon so they could not escape, all while continuing to speak calmly in an effort to reassure them that he meant no harm. Once the horses were secured, Lu Fan opened a territorial portal, and one after another he guided the captured creatures through the glowing gateway until each of them disappeared into the swirling light. After the final horse entered, Lu Fan stepped through the portal himself. On the other side, at Tianfu Island, Lu Fan appeared while carrying baby ice crystal horses in his arms, explaining that he had managed to capture 2 adults along with 3 young ones, bringing the total number to 5 ice crystal beasts in a single day. When the girls saw the beautiful ice crystal horses, they were overjoyed and immediately ran forward, happily petting the creatures while praising them excitedly, as the system panel appeared to display the ownership information. Soon afterward, Qin Xiu and Jiang Ying successfully tamed the 2 adult ice crystal beasts, making them their personal mounts, and before long they were soaring through the sky alongside Han Ku as the magnificent creatures spread their wings and carried them high above Tianfu Island, flying gracefully while everyone below watched the scene in amazement. Meanwhile, back on the ground, Daozi sat with a frustrated and heartbroken expression, because no matter how many times she tried, she simply could not tame any of the ice crystal beasts. Feeling discouraged, she began wondering whether she somehow lacked feminine charm. At that moment, one of the small baby beasts slowly walked toward her and stopped directly in front of her. Surprised, Daozi looked down at the tiny creature and asked if it wanted to play with her. And just then the little beast gently bumped its head against her. Instantly, the system window appeared, confirming that Daozi had successfully tamed the baby ice crystal beast. Lu Fan was stunned that the attempt had succeeded so effortlessly, while Daozi's eyes sparkled with joy the moment she realized she finally had a companion of her own. Lu Fan smiled at the sight but reminded her that the little creature was still far too young to serve as a mount, explaining that it should be raised as a pet until it matured, and he advised her to take proper care of it. Daozi happily hugged the tiny beast and promised that she would raise it well. Not long afterward, Qin Xiu and Han Ku descended from the sky on their mounts and asked Lu Fan to check on the remaining adult ice crystal creatures, because the beasts looked uncomfortable and appeared to be overheating. Lu Fan quickly realized the problem. The warm climate of Tianfu Island was simply too hot for creatures that came from extremely cold regions, meaning the environment here was not suitable for them at all. Qin Xiu added that the creatures looked as if they might suffer from heat stroke, which was clearly not good, and Han Ku then asked what they should do, since they could not allow such adorable creatures to suffer like that. After thinking for a moment, Lu Fan suddenly remembered a solution and told them not to worry. He activated the power known as the two-headed great dragon form, a special ability symbolizing a legendary bond of trust with a two-headed great dragon, one that ensured whenever its companion called for assistance, the dragon would respond. Closing his eyes, Lu Fan reached out and called upon the great dragon for help, and soon a deep rumble echoed across the sky as a portal opened above the island. From the swirling light emerged the powerful two-faced dragon. Lu Fan immediately asked the dragon to use its ice elemental power to transform the northern plains near the Shadow Fortress into a frozen environment suitable for the ice crystal creatures. The dragon confidently agreed and released its elemental energy, remarking that reshaping the land with ice was effortless, even joking that it could easily turn the entire island into a landscape of lava and ice if necessary. Lu Fan quickly replied that such drastic changes would not be needed. The dragon then released a thunderous roar, and within moments snow began falling across the region while a cold wind swept over the land, as frost spread rapidly across the ground and transformed the area into a vast frozen field. Soon afterward, a system notification appeared announcing that Tianfu Island had reached a new stage of development and that a massive frozen field had now been formed. Everyone watched the transformation with amazement as the newly created cold environment immediately felt far more comfortable for the ice crystal creatures, while the dragon proudly remarked that completing such a task had been as effortless as breathing. Meanwhile, night had already fallen across the Despair ice field, especially within the cold and silent snow mountain basin. Lu Fan continued his journey toward the distant ruins alongside his dragons, and as he flew through the dark freezing sky, he warned them to remain alert because danger could appear at any moment. As the flight through the night continued, Lu Fan found himself reflecting on everything that had happened earlier, recalling the warnings he had heard about the dangers surrounding the ruins of the Dragon King. Those thoughts made him more cautious, yet they also strengthened his determination. Unwilling to waste any more time, he urged his dragons to accelerate, cutting through the freezing night sky as they sped across the endless plains of the Despair ice field. In his mind, the next objective was already clear. He simply needed to leave the Despair ice field behind, since he had already confirmed the location of the Ice Dragon ruins. During their flight through the frozen darkness, Xiao Yi suddenly called out to Lu Fan after noticing something unusual within the surrounding area. Lu Fan immediately moved closer and carefully scanned the icy plains below, and it did not take long before he discovered the source of the disturbance. Soon he realized that the creatures approaching them were icefield worms. From Lu Fan's understanding, these beasts were a swarm-type ferocious species that relied on overwhelming numbers to defeat their enemies rather than individual strength, and with each icefield worm possessing a level of 120, the entire swarm became extremely dangerous within such an environment. Their first attack was known as Snow Burrow. Using this ability, the worms rapidly tunneled deep beneath the snow-covered ground and rushed toward a selected target location. And once they reached that point, they suddenly burst out of the snow while releasing a surge of frost energy that dealt heavy frost damage to every enemy court where they emerged. Their second ability was Frost Spray. This attack released a chilling stream capable of instantly freezing liquids while continuously stacking layers of frost on the target, and each layer gradually reduced the enemy's defense while slowing their movement speed, making it increasingly difficult for opponents to react effectively during battle. Their final ability was Savage Regeneration. Through this skill, the icefield worms could devour one of their own living companions in order to restore their strength and vitality, allowing them to endure longer in combat and continue fighting their enemies. After observing the situation, Lu Fan immediately summoned his dragon companion About to confront the approaching swarm, ordering About to enter the powerful World Destruction Thunder form and prepare a devastating strike. Without hesitation, About began casting the skill known as 3,300,000 Heavenly World Destructive Thunder, releasing a thunderous roar as a bolt of lightning surged toward the approaching enemies. This technique summoned a massive storm across the battlefield, and within the designated area countless world-destroying thunderbolts, numbering 3,300,000, descended violently from the sky. The ability was recognized as a Dragon Tongue forbidden spell influenced by Thunder Favor, though it was not directly controlled by the original source of thunder itself. At the same time, the icefield worms attempted to launch another Snow Burrow attack against Bao. Yet Lu Fan calmly observed the battlefield and even revealed a faint smile when he noticed the worms once again hiding beneath the snow. Recognizing the opportunity, Lu Fan ordered Xiao Yi to transform into her destructive dragon form and coordinate an attack with him using Dragon Tongue magic. Following the command without hesitation, Xiao Yi immediately shifted into Black Dragon Form 3, the destructive dragon form. Together, Lu Fan and Xiao Yi activated Dragon Tongue Resonance while casting the attack Lava Burst toward the approaching enemies. Lava Burst detonated violently within the targeted area as an eruption of flames burst from the ground, releasing intense heat that spread outward and formed a growing pool of molten lava that engulfed the enemy units. At the same time, Dragon Tongue Resonance functioned as a powerful amplification technique. Whenever a Dragon Tamer and their Dragon Companion cast the same Dragon Tongue spell simultaneously, the power of the spell increased by 100%, transforming their combined strike into an even more devastating force. After unleashing this overwhelming assault, Lu Fan left the remaining enemies to another Dragon Companion, the Starry Sky Dragon, which was currently in its galaxy form, and he instructed Xingqian to finish off the survivors. Responding immediately, the Starry Sky Dragon activated the skill Starfall, covering the battlefield with countless beams of starlight that descended from above like a storm of falling stars. Under this relentless combination of attacks, the battlefield was cleared almost instantly. Within a very short time, every enemy was completely annihilated, and soon afterward a system notification appeared informing Lu Fan that his level had risen to 7. Once the battle was over, Lu Fan calmly told his companions that they would rest there for the night, explaining that the following day they would cross the snow mountain, which would eventually lead them into the Ice Dragon Ruin Zone. Morning arrived with an even harsher environment. When Lu Fan woke up, he immediately sensed that the temperature had dropped far lower than the night before, and the air was so cold that every breath felt as though it were freezing inside his lungs. Yet despite the brutal cold, there was no wind and no falling snow, creating a strangely unnatural stillness throughout the atmosphere. Everyone traveling with him felt the same chilling discomfort. Not long afterward, the group arrived at a place known as the Ice Dragon Frozen Domain, and simply from hearing the name, Lu Fan concluded that the Ice Dragon ruins must be somewhere nearby within this region. At that moment, he noticed that Xiao Yu was struggling under the extreme cold. Her body trembled uncontrollably in the freezing temperature, and the chill made it difficult for her even to speak properly. Seeing her condition, Lu Fan decided that she should rest rather than forcing herself to endure such a harsh environment. He planned to summon her again later once they reached a warmer area. And with that decision made, the rest of the group continued advancing deeper into the mountains. As they moved further into the frozen terrain, Lu Fan gradually sensed that something was wrong. The surroundings had become unnaturally silent, creating the uneasy feeling that a hidden danger might be waiting somewhere nearby. Eventually, their path came to an abrupt dead end. At that very moment, large cracks began spreading across the massive ice wall standing before them, and from those fractures a dragon suddenly burst out, releasing a thunderous roar that echoed throughout the mountains. The creature that appeared was an ice dragon corp spirit, and its level was also 120. Lu Fan immediately understood the situation and realized that the danger he had been anticipating had finally arrived. The monster was a spiritual entity formed from the corpse of an ice dragon. Yet the situation was even more dangerous than it first appeared, because it was not only a single spirit. Multiple ice dragon corp spirits had awakened at the same time. Preparing for battle without hesitation, Abao once again transformed into the world-destructive thunder form. Lu Fan knew they were already extremely close to the ice dragon ruins, so he ordered both Xingchen and Abao to fight with their full strength and hold nothing back. The starry sky dragon also entered its starlight form, radiating brilliant light across the battlefield. Soon afterward, one of the Ice Dragon Corp spirits launched the ability Ice Crystal Storm, summoning a violent storm formed from countless sharp ice crystals. The attack spread throughout the surrounding area and inflicted heavy frost damage on every enemy caught within its range. At the same time, Lu Fan activated his dragon-taming aura in the form of the Black Dragon, awakening the Black Dragon bloodline. Under the influence of this power, all of his attacks gained additional fire damage while applying the vulnerable effect to enemies. With this power surging through him, Lu Fan stepped forward and threw a powerful punch, and in that instant he also activated Divine Bone Descent, a special ability that could only be used while wearing the Divine Bone Gauntlets. The skill granted him Divine Bone Armor, which did not occupy any equipment slot while simultaneously increasing all of his attributes. Meanwhile, the Starry Sky Dragon unleashed its devastating attack Star Annihilation Light, gathering an immense concentration of starlight into a single focused laser beam capable of dealing immeasurable damage while completely ignoring the target's defense. However, the Ice Dragon Corp spirits possessed another terrifying ability known as Restless Death. Whenever one of these spirits was defeated, the skill activated automatically, causing the spirit to freeze its own body before reviving again with full health only a few seconds later. Realizing this, Lu Fan immediately understood that the enemies they had just defeated were not truly destroyed, and their resurrection had to be stopped at once. To deal with the problem, Lu Fan quickly used the destructive Thunder Dragon ability called Bright Yellow Jade and launched a powerful thunder strike toward the enemy spirits. At the same time, Abao released a fierce roar and summoned a massive thunderstorm across the battlefield. Soon afterward, the devastating Technique 3,300,000 Heavenly World Destructive Thunder was unleashed once again, sending countless thunderbolts crashing down upon the enemy forces. Under this relentless barrage of destructive attacks, the Ice Dragon Corp spirits were finally destroyed completely. After the battle ended, Lu Fan sincerely praised Abao for the great effort he had shown during the fight, and not long afterward another system notification appeared, informing him that his level had increased once again. Despite the victory, Lu Fan noticed that there was still no clear sign of the Ice Dragon ruins nearby. This made him begin wondering whether the lingering spirits they had just defeated had actually been guarding something important. As he carefully examined the surrounding ice walls, Lu Fan eventually noticed something unusual sealed within the frozen surface. Looking closer, he realized that the Ice Dragon spirits had been protecting a ring embedded inside the ice wall. He inspected the ring and discovered that it had no level requirement, and in addition the ring granted ice element damage while applying a freezing effect when used. The system window displayed the item's details, revealing it to be an Ice Dragon gem ring of legendary quality. Its attributes showed 649 strength, 538 agility, 485 spirit, and 579 stamina. As the surrounding ice slowly cracked and shattered, the ring finally broke free and dropped directly into Lu Fan's hands. After obtaining the item, Lu Fan decided to continue advancing deeper into the mountains in order to finally locate the Ice Dragon ruins, and with that decision made, the rest of the group followed him as they pressed forward on their journey. The scene opens with our boy walking slowly across a vast frozen land where endless sheets of ice stretch as far as the eye can see. As he moves forward over the icy ground, he suddenly senses that something about this place feels strange, so he stops and carefully looks around. While observing the surroundings, he begins thinking that the ruins should be somewhere nearby, And because nothing appears where he expected, he starts doubting the information he read earlier, wondering if the journal might actually have been wrong. At the same time, the little dragon beside him complains that they have been circling the same place for a long time and that it is starting to feel bored. Just then, our boy suddenly takes another step forward before stopping again, this time standing completely still without saying a word. After silently studying the environment for a moment, he finally understands something important and says that he now knows what is happening. The ruins of the ice dragon are not located on the surface at all but are sealed deep beneath the ice. The moment he realizes this, our boy leaps into the air and calls out to his companions, ordering Xingqian and about to attack the ice together with him, and both dragons immediately turn around and respond to his command. Hovering in mid-air, our boy prepares to strike and throws a powerful punch toward the frozen ground, and at that exact moment a system screen appears. Dragon Taming Aura, Starry Sky Dragon. The Starry Sky Dragon activates its bloodline power and releases the Starry Sky Dragon Aura. Every 10 seconds it grants a strength boost equal to 100% of the strength used. However, these boosts do not stack. Meanwhile, Dragon Bao suddenly stops and raises his hand as golden lightning crackles around him and powerful energy gathers within his palm, while at the same time Xingqian begins releasing a bluish-purple energy from his body. Another system screen appears. Heaven's Judgment Calamity locks onto and tracks one enemy target while releasing rapid consecutive heavenly lightning strikes that deal massive lightning damage. Right after that, another system screen appears. Divine Born Descent. This skill can only be used when Divine Born gauntlets are equipped. It grants Divine Born armor that does not occupy an equipment slot and increases all attributes by 300%. Another system message follows. Dragon Taming Aura, Starry Sky Dragon activated. Then yet another ability appears on the screen. Shatter Star creates a star and then crushes it, causing massive area damage. The power of this skill scales with a user's strength. Soon afterward, the golden lightning energy and the bluish-purple power merge together before crashing down onto the frozen ground. However, something completely unexpected happens. Both our boy and Xingqian stop and stare at the ice in surprise. Our boy looks shocked and wonders what just happened, then immediately flies closer to inspect the surface. Inside his mind, he quickly realizes something troubling. The ice is not broken at all. Not even a single crack has appeared. This makes him begin thinking that perhaps the seal covering the ruins cannot be broken by force. At that moment, a sudden laugh sounded from behind him, and the mysterious voice remarked that the situation was quite interesting, adding that watching this scene had made her laugh. Our boy turned slightly and fixed the person with a sharp glare before asking whether she knew how to remove the Ice Dragon King seal. The woman replied calmly that she did know the method, then explained that the Ice Dragon King seal could only be melted by flames of the Dragon King tier, or at the very least by something extremely close to that level. Hearing this, our boy raised his hand slightly and asked if that meant the Ice Dragon King was truly sealed inside these ruins. However, the woman told him not to celebrate too early, because finding the location did not mean he would be able to obtain what was inside. At that moment, Abao spoke up and questioned her statement, pointing out that she had said the seal required Dragon King level flames, and even though Xiao had not yet reached that level, the protagonist still had another option. Our protagonist then explained with confidence that he could summon a rootless dragon close to the Dragon King tier, and with that dragon's flames, he believed he could melt the ice. Before he could finish, the woman suddenly placed a finger against his face and apologized for interrupting him, then explained the real reason she had said he would not be able to obtain it. She revealed that the Ice Dragon King was already dead, and that inside the ruins, nothing remained except its corpse. Our boy was completely shocked when he heard this and immediately asked whether it was really true. The woman then explained an important rule about Dragon Kings. When a Dragon King knows it is about to die, it seals itself away so that its power cannot fall into the hands of others, and the Ice Dragon King had followed that same rule. However, she also added that he did not need to lose hope yet, because the Ice Dragon King had left behind trials. Leaning slightly toward our boy, she explained that if he could pass those trials and gain the Ice Dragon King's recognition, then he would be able to obtain a portion of its power, which made our hero excited enough to ask what kind of trial it was. But the woman merely laughed and said she had no idea, and that he would have to figure it out himself. Before leaving, she gave him one final warning, saying that the Ice Dragon King's trials might only be the beginning of his problems, and adding that she was looking forward to the day he returned to ask for her help. After that conversation, the scene shifted, and our boy was now standing beside the little dragon, who remarked that he finally seemed to have snapped out of his thoughts. Our boy continued thinking about the last words spoken by the devouring Dragon King, wondering why she had sounded so confident that he would return to ask for her help. He narrowed his eyes and began analyzing the situation carefully, suspecting that even if he cleared the trial successfully, obtaining the Ice Dragon King's power might still not be easy. He considers the possibility that the devouring Dragon King is expecting him to fail so that he will eventually return to her for help, and if that happens, she might seize the opportunity to devour the Ice Dragon King's corpse herself. Still, he reminds himself that this is only speculation for now, and the most important task is to reach the Ice Dragon King's ruins first. With that decision made, our protagonist immediately gives an order, telling Xingqian and about to fall back. At that moment, Another system screen appears. Flame Giant Dragon Scale. Legendary quality. This item is proof of the Flame Giant Dragon's trust. Whoever holds this scale is recognized as a companion of the Rootless Dragon. Whenever the holder needs help, the Flame Giant Dragon will answer the call and offer assistance. Without hesitation, our boy prepares for battle and calls out to the Flame Giant Dragon named Apia, asking the dragon to help melt the ice so that he can reach the Ice Dragon King's ruins. Almost instantly, the Flame Giant Dragon appears and responds that it has come as promised in answer to his call. The massive dragon then tells everyone to stand aside while it incinerates the Ice Dragon King's seal. The Flame Giant Dragon releases a powerful roar and unleashes an enormous wave of fire that spreads across the frozen ground. Our boy watches closely and quickly realizes that the plan is working, because the ice seal finally begins to crack and melt. However, the Flame Giant Dragon soon comments on how incredibly cold the area is, explaining that the freezing energy left behind by Dragon King is truly overwhelming and that the cold is easily extinguishing its flames. The dragon admits that although it is curious about what the Ice Dragon King's ruins look like, the extreme temperature is making it extremely uncomfortable. Understanding the situation, our protagonist tells the dragon that Xiao Yi is also not used to such extreme cold, so he asks the dragon to return to Tianfu Island and rest. Our boy then continues flying forward with 2 circular green rings surrounding him, while telling Xiao Yi, Che, and Avo that they should rest as well. As he travels deeper into the frozen region, he calls for Xiao Fei and Xiao Ji to follow him, and both of them immediately move after him. While flying, our boy continues thinking carefully. They are about to reach the ruins, and if the Devouring Dragon King expects him to come back for help, then the trials ahead must be extremely dangerous. Because of that, he decides that Xiao Fei and Xiao Ji, who possess stronger survival abilities, should take the lead. At the same time, he decides to transform into the Golden Dragon King form in order to increase his stamina. Soon afterward, the scene shifts again as our boy lands firmly on the ground and begins moving deeper into the Ice Dragon King's ruins. Finally, he stops. In front of him stands a massive ice tomb, and inside it lies the frozen corpse of the Ice Dragon King. Our boy stays at the sight in amazement, realizing that the legendary dragon is truly sealed within this frozen tomb. Behind him, Xiao Fei is also shocked and quietly whispers while staring at the enormous corpse. At that moment, another system screen suddenly appears. Ice Dragon King trial activated. Current progress, 07. Xiao Fei remains standing behind our boy, still surprised. Our boy quickly understands the situation. The trial activates automatically once someone approaches the ruins. In front of them stand 7 different portals, and each portal represents a separate trial. In order to reach the Ice Dragon King's corpse, all 7 trials must be completed. Our boy then says that there is no reason to keep waiting and tells Xiao Fei and Xiao Ji to prepare themselves. At that moment, the Golden Dragon appears and remarks that instead of standing there and freezing like popsicles, they might as well begin the trials immediately. Another system screen appears. Will of the Fiery Dragon Warrior unseals the remaining bloodline power and allows transformation into the Golden Dragon King. Strength, agility, and spirit each increase by 50%. Endurance increases by 200%. While in Golden Dragon King form, the user cannot enter mount state. Just then, Xiao Fei suddenly steps forward, but the moment she moves, she becomes nervous and surprised at the same time. Inside the secret realm trial of the Right Claw, the Golden Dragon and Xiao Fei stand before a gigantic frozen structure belonging to the Ice Dragon King, and after studying it closely, the Golden Dragon realizes that what they are facing is the Ice Dragon King's right claw. Then a system screen suddenly appears with the skill description Eternal Forest Barrier, explaining that the surface of the Ice Dragon King's right claw is permanently coated in absolute ice armor, an armor that blocks 80% of physical damage and 60% of magical damage, making the claw extraordinarily hard to damage. Seeing this, the Golden Dragon decides they need to test just how durable it really is, and another screen immediately appears showing Emerald Land Blessing, an ability that applies 3 to 6 stacks of Dragon Aura to the target and increases the damage of the next 3 to 6 attacks. Xiao Fei looks shocked as all of this unfolds, and not long after, another system screen appears while Xiao Fei starts absorbing poison energy. The poison quickly spreads across the battlefield, and a new status window displays Current Toxin, Deadly Poison Slime, an effect that cuts the target's defense by 50% for 10 seconds. The moment the poison starts spreading, the Ice Dragon suddenly launches an attack, and the force of the impact throws both the Golden Dragon and Xiao Fei backward. Right afterward, another screen appears displaying Judgment Claw, and the Golden Dragon King's claw bursts into blazing golden flames. The next 2 claw strikes will deal bonus damage, and the skill also turns 20% of stamina into additional strength. At the same time, the poison keeps spreading over the Ice Dragon's body and slowly wears it down. But then another system notice abruptly appears showing Frost Energy Vortex, as an icy vortex forms across the claw's surface and begins absorbing 50% of incoming damage, converting that damage into stored energy. The Golden Dragon narrows his eyes the instant he understands what is happening, realizing that the creature is absorbing the energy from their attacks. Both the Golden Dragon and Xiao Jiage remain there, watching the Ice Dragon take in everything used against it. And the Golden Dragon immediately grasps the danger, saying that once the Ice Dragon's energy is full, it will release an extremely powerful killing move. Suddenly, the Ice Dragon unleashes a massive surge of icy power, and a system screen pops up displaying Winter Judgment. The Ice Dragon King's right claw slams down violently onto the ground, releasing all of its stored energy, covering a 50-meter radius around the impact point in devastating ice damage, while the attack ignores 50% of defense and inflicts deep frostbite that slows movement speed by 40%. Another burst of icy force follows, but the Golden Dragon reacts at once by activating a defensive ability, and a screen pops up showing Sacred Shield, a shield wielded by the Golden Dragon King that activates in guarding stance and grants complete immunity to all damage for 5 seconds. After shielding himself, the Golden Dragon steps forward once more and carefully studies the situation, realizing that the claw possesses a barrier and can absorb energy before unleashing a massive area attack. Even though the claw appears nearly impossible to destroy, the Golden Dragon begins questioning whether it truly lacks any weakness. Thinking fast, he calls out to Xiaofei and orders him to activate Amal and Mirror Clone. Xiaofei immediately releases his energy across the battlefield, and a new screen appears displaying Amal and Mirror Clone, an ability that selects an allied unit and creates 2 mirror copies. These clones inherit every skill of the chosen ally while possessing 30% of the original attributes. Each unit can maintain up to 2 clones at the same time, and the effect grows even stronger when used on dragons or allies carrying dragon blood. Moments later, several copies of the Golden Dragon appear across the battlefield. The Golden Dragon then orders everyone to attack together while activating Dragon Tongue magic, and multiple Golden Dragon forms surge forward simultaneously, rushing toward the Ice Dragon and launching their assault. Another skill notification appears showing Lava Burst, where flames erupt violently across the targeted area and form a pool of lava, causing any target caught within it to slowly sink into the magma while continuously taking massive damage. All of the Golden Dragon clones release their golden energy toward the Ice Dragon, repeatedly striking and smashing it without pause as the attacks continue one after another. However, the claw suddenly produces another Frost Energy Vortex, which once again absorbs 50% of all incoming damage and converts that damage into stored energy. Seeing this, the Golden Dragon realizes something is wrong and says their attacks are not working. But at that moment, something unexpected occurs as a sudden impact knocks the Golden Dragon backward. Once he regains his balance, he carefully studies the Ice Dragon again, and his gaze sharpens when he notices something crucial. Just as he suspected, every time the Ice Dragon launches an attack, its defensive armor disappears for a brief instant, and when the Ice Dragon shifts slightly, that short opening exposes its weakness. The Golden Dragon immediately announces that the flaw has finally been revealed and that this is their opportunity. Without wasting a moment, the Golden Dragon personally joins the fight as all of his clones turn toward the Ice Dragon and attack in perfect coordination, each strike following the last without pause and maintaining relentless pressure. At one point, the Ice Dragon manages to counterattack and strikes the Golden Dragon, leaving him with a minor injury. Yet the Golden Dragon ignores the pain because he knows the Ice Dragon's defense has vanished and this is the exact moment they have been waiting for. Gathering his strength, the Golden Dragon unleashes another fierce strike, and at the same time another dragon appears behind him, supporting the assault by channeling its mana directly toward the Ice Dragon. A system screen appears once again displaying Lava Burst, as explosive flames erupt across the target area and create a molten pool of lava that drags the enemy downward into the magma while continuously dealing massive damage. The attacks continue stacking on top of each other, and wave after wave of destructive force crashes into the Ice Dragon without stopping. Gradually, cracks begin spreading across the frozen claw, and the Ice Dragon starts breaking apart piece by piece until, at last, a massive red explosion erupts across the battlefield. Immediately after the explosion, a system notification appears, announcing that the trial of the right claw has been successfully completed. Not long afterward, the protagonist descends and lands on the ground, and as the dust settles, a circular ring formed from glowing blue energy suddenly appears nearby. As the protagonist and Xiaofei walk toward the luminous circle, another system message appears displaying Ice Dragon King ruins. The protagonist remains standing there for a moment, silently observing the ruins before him, carefully sensing the condition of the seal, and he soon realizes that it has not been completely broken. Although it now feels loosened and unstable, the seal itself still remains in place. He quickly understands that the only way to fully remove the seal is to complete all 7 trials. With determination settling firmly in his mind, the protagonist lifts his gaze forward and prepares himself for the next challenge, knowing that the next destination is already waiting for him, the realm of the left claw.